I don't believe that there's a genocide going on, and I don't think Israel's intention is genocide. I don't believe there's any evidence of genocide. There is genocide going on in the Mideast, but it's a genocide of Jews and it's a genocide of Christians, and nobody's complaining about it for some reason. And there are much worse wars than what's happening in Gaza right now. But for some reason, people don't want to complain unless it's Jews who can be blamed. The idea of saying that there's a genocide going on in Israel because people die in war, and that in every war that's going on in the world today, there are civilians dying, and the
It's not about trading with multiple monitors or reading charts endlessly. And it's not about doing hours of research or relying on tips from friends. Instead, I use a method that tracks
these images. And, a picture tells 1,000 words, right? My pictures usually tell several thousand words, right? Several thousand words.
Prepared for it. At least in Canada, I'd say Canadians are braced for very tough times ahead. Americans did not vote last November for, quotes, pain or disturbance or whatever it is Donald Trump calls it. They're not prepared for any pain at all. I think that we're prepared for it. And so the point I'm making is that we should be strategic. And I'm talking about not tariffs. Let them pay export taxes on stuff that is critical to their industry, or outright export bans.
What about oil, David?
So you hear what this guy has to say, and some of you may know this guy, David Rosenberg. David Rosenberg. He's got the right name, you understand. That's why he's promoted as an expert by his friends that run the media. You got it? Now, Mr. Rosenberg who was discarded. Of course, he got a job. I believe it was Merrill Lynch. If you're with the guys, if you're with the tribe, folks, any place they control, you're fucking in. You're in. And he was like some analyst guy or there or something. And what happened to this clown? Let me give you you can look at him. What happened to this clown many years ago is that he started coming out and riding the doomsday broken clock bandwagon. And as you can imagine, you're not going to do too well as a Wall Street analyst or whatever he was, strategist, economist, I don't know. I think maybe economist. And, most of these economists are fucking useless when it comes to investments, right? I mean, I've never, ever in my life seen an economist or an accountant who has a rat's ass idea about investing. Ever. It's kind of like these guys that, they might be engineers, and so they're looking through things through a kind of a myopic lens. Oh, well, I'm an engineer, so I know this technology. I'm going to invest in this company because I know the technology. So they're so fucking myopic, they don't understand what all the various inputs that are required to understand a good investment. So these, that's kind of, I think, how these economists and these accountants are. They look at investing from their myopic view of economics, or in the case of accountants, accounting, not understanding that that's really only a component, and in many cases, actually a very small component of investing. I mean, accounting is probably the worst. I mean, like, do you really think you can decipher the financial statements of a companies that are absolute wizards and use the top-notch guys in the world to fudge things, right? You can't, right? Anybody that looks like if you focus on financial statements, you're wasting your fucking time. I can tell you that right now. That's the biggest fucking waste of time in general, generally speaking. There are certain times when you might want to focus on financial statements, namely if you're dealing with, say, a specific situation of distressed securities, things like that. But generally speaking, if you're looking at securities, when of course none of you out there should be trying to even look at securities because you don't have a competitive advantage. You're never going to beat me or other people like me, pros in the industry, top fucking big swinging dicks. You're never going to. And the problem is, of course, is that when people don't know jack shit, they learn all of a sudden they didn't know anything, and now they know this, and they know how to read a financial statement, and they know what a balance sheet is, and they know technical analysis, and they understand what earnings per share is. And all of a sudden, they become a danger to themselves because they don't know fucking jack shit, okay? They don't understand that, yeah, you've learned a lot, but you're never going to know enough to compete, to outcompete the market. And this is a scam of all these guys with their courses and teaching and all this shit. That's why they're all frauds. Unless you have a competitive advantage, you have extremely valuable, unique insight, which is proven. You have a proven track record of being able to have a skill or to see things others cannot. You're just swindling people. That's fact. So you should be buying the index. That's it. Okay? That's it. So anyway, this guy, getting back to Rosenberg, Mr. Rosenberg, I believe it was Merrill Lynch. Maybe he was an economist there. And he kept coming out with these, this was many years ago, coming out with these doomsday, and this was, by the way, after the financial crisis. He was doing this after the financial crisis. He was one of these guys, one of these Peter Schiff guys. The market's going to collapse. Stay out of the market. Buy gold. He became one of those lunatics, which caused anyone who listened to him to lose out on the longest bull market in fucking U.S. history. Okay? As you can imagine, you're not going to do too well as a Wall Street economist or a Wall Street analyst or a Wall Street strategist, all of which are salesmen, by the way, as I mentioned before. They're all just fucking salesmen. They're no different than stockbrokers. You all don't know that. I've talked about it before. They're just fucking salesmen. They're all in sales, okay? But you're not going to do well in that position, especially, let's say, as a strategist. And we're seeing that with Mike Wilson, Morgan Stanley, who completely fucking flopped. He completely fucking flopped, right? He was the guy, the institutional investor named as the chief strategist, the best strategist in the world when he was bearish on the U.S. market in 2022, right? Did he call a bottom like I did in October? Well, my bottom was called in June or July of 2022, and it triggered in October in the market. No, he didn't call a bottom, right? Folks, if you don't know when to get back the fuck in the market, don't get the fuck out. Got it? If you can't do both ways, don't even try it, okay? Because then you become a bigger problem. Mike Wilson didn't do it. He fucked up. He was bearish on the market in 2023, calling for all this big collapse and all this shit, all the way up through 2024. late 2024, I believe it was, Mike Wilson was bearish, calling for, S&P 4,000, 3,800. I can't remember, but I did some videos on it. And, just a complete disaster for his customers. So the point is this. Dave Rosenberg, he got the axe. You're not going to do well as a strategist if you're a fucking broken clock, and that clock is broken on a doomsday call. Because guess what? The market's going to go up a lot more times and spend a lot more time going up, than it is down. Unless you happen to be in Japan. Okay? Right? That's the reality. So he got axed about, 15 years ago, 12 years ago or something. And he went to some little bullshit Canadian firm where he think he still is now. I don't know. Or I think he's not there. Loveskin or something. And this is who this guy is. He's a complete fucking clown. He's like one of these guys that the media promotes, Jeffrey Gunlock, all these fucking clowns that have no credibility at all. And you look at their track records, a complete horse shit. And just been calling for a collapse every fucking month of every year for the past 15 or so years. That's who this guy is, by the way. Okay? I'm sick and tired of fucking stupid people. And that's what you got on ScamTube. Nothing but stupid fucking people. They fuel the scammers. The stupid audience, the desperate, lazy, greedy, delusional audience that all thinks that they're brilliant geniuses and they're all experts. That's the audience that fuels the scammers because they're the one that line up for the scammers. Oh, I want to buy your course. Oh, I believe you. They don't ask how you're credible, how you're qualified to be talking about these things. You see, that's what ScamTube is. It's the biggest platform for scams and idiots in the world. Fact, write it down. So you got this guy, Rosenberg, and, you can tell he doesn't skip too many meals too often. And he wants you can see the headlines here. We have to hit back hard. So he's calling for tougher retaliation from Canada on tariffs. You fucking stupid? How goddamn stupid are you? Canada has no fucking aces. They're holding no cards. America can completely fucking demolish Canada's economy and put them into the most severe recession ever imagined. Very fucking easily. For Canada, and this is an issue here, these stupid fucking Canadians, and all you Canadians out there, you can suck my big Greek hard fucking huge dick if you don't like this. And here's what I got to say. For all these months now, you had these Canadians, and some Canadians are innocent of it, that's fine. Okay? But you got these Canadians that are booing the national anthem of America when they have a sporting event in Canada. Consistently booing the U.S. national anthem. Are you fucking stupid? You pussy-ass pothead Canadian bitch boys. Soy boy liberal bitch boys. Potheads. Are you stupid? We have completely built your economy. You fucking parasite off of our economy. We protect your fucking useless country. Your polarized cap country. Are you kidding me? Are you fucking stupid? You're really pushing it. Okay? For that behavior alone, if I'm in charge, I'm going to smack the fuck Canada down. Boom. Okay? Teach Canada a lesson. Let me explain something, folks. When you hold all the fucking aces, like, say, for instance, as I do, as an investment analyst, when you hold all the fucking aces, you got all the leverage. Right? The opposing side has no leverage. They need to sit down and shut the fuck up and take their medicine. You don't start acting arrogant as if you've got something. Canada has nothing on America. Zero. No country in the world can go up against America and tit for tat come out and create some tariff war and win. That's fact. America can produce everything that it needs. Okay? I mean, Canada, of all countries, to pull this shit. And the reason why many of these people in Canada have been booing the U.S. national anthem has been because of the Canadian media, which has fueled this anti-U.S. sentiment, and the Canadian politicians who want to get fucking votes. It's disgusting. And I'll tell you right now, you stupid-ass pothead soy boy bitches in Canada who have behaved this way, this behavior, let me tell you, it's becoming a permanent fixture in U.S.-Canadian relations. People are not going to forget this for a very long time. Canada, you'd better start building up your fucking military, because I don't think you can rely too much on America defending you with your little 50 airplanes. Okay? You understand, folks, this is how they want to treat America. Obviously, Trump is a lunatic. No doubt about that. He's a crook. He's a con man. He's a piece of trash. He's an idiot. There's no doubt about that. Is Trump going about this whole terror situation rationally, logically? Of course not. He's an erratic fool. But you have to be a big idiot to be a politician and to not understand how to deal with Trump. If you're a good politician, you know human behavior, and you know how Trump operates. Trump is all about ego and power and bullying people. The last thing you want to do when Trump imposes a tariff on your country, the last thing you want to do is try and match him and try and up him one. Because guess what? Trump represents the U.S., unfortunately, and he holds all the fucking cards. You got it? He'll smack the fuck you down like he's doing. Unfortunately, this is predictable. Anybody that doesn't understand this is a fucking idiot. Now, if you don't understand this, that's fine. You're not a politician. Every fucking competent politician has to know this. Therefore, I must conclude that the Canadian politicians are either so stupid and ignorant of this, or they're so desperate to win votes. Now, they just had an election. This establishment shill, Mr. Carney, is going to be replacing Trudeau. They're both related, by the way, as are most of the leaders of the Western world. Kind of strange, is it not? How all these countries, right, all the way down, even not just in Europe, Australia, Latin America, they're all related. And they all happen to comprise a very minuscule percentage of the population. That's pretty bizarre. How is that happening? How is that possible? Well, folks, when you understand how elections are won, they're won through the media. Okay, the media determines who wins elections, by the way. Now, of course, the simpleton, low IQ idiot out there is going to say, oh, how is that possible? Because the media is against Trump. No, they're not, dipshit. You're falling for Trump's lies and horseshit. Donald Trump is part of the media, dingbat. That's right. Donald Trump is a part of the media. Donald Trump has made all of his money through media. Now, some of you fucking twerps out there weren't even a conception in your parents' mind back when I remember Trump. Trump was making all his money posing as a publicity stunt guy back in the 80s. And part of that reason was because he happened to have married the right person. You understand? The right person. You can read between the lines. So he was being promoted. She was being promoted. And he was in bed with the banking buddies, especially when his business ventures, his casinos, got into trouble. Okay? And then, of course, he launched all his bullshit. All you can ever hear about is the art of the deal. Folks, let me tell you a little story. I've told this before. I remember about around 20 years ago or so, I was at an Office Depot, and I saw this book, The Art of the Deal. And I remember, it's Trump's book. He's, you hear about it, it must be great. I picked the fucking thing up, and I could not believe it. First of all, Trump didn't write the book, okay? He had one of his, his buddies who he surrounds himself with, that group of people that wrote it. I could not believe it was written for a fifth grade level, fourth or fifth grade level. I couldn't believe it. I was shocked. It was such a fucking stupid book. It seems like Trump wrote it because it's such a like elementary school book. I put it down. I was just laughing. Okay. But my point is that Trump has used publicity and profited off it longer than probably anybody. He knows media. Trump is media. All these companies he's launched, it's based upon perception, right? Oh, Trump, he's great, Trump. And this is what you see now. This is the whole business model that you see today, right? Kevin O'Leary's doing that shit. Mark Cuban's doing that. All these guys in the media. That's why they're in the media. You understand? Media, celebrity, status. The phrase that I created. People use, they leverage their media celebrity status and they launch all types of horse shit. Right? Despite the fact that they're always fucking losers that are promoted by the media. So what happened? 2000, shortly after 2000, Trump gets into that Apprentice. He made all that money in Apprentice. $150 million, $200 million over the course of, 13, 14 years, something like that. Right? Trump is media. Okay? So, getting back to what I said. If you look at all these leaders around much of the world, excluding, let's say, Asia for now, because as we know, these people like to interbreed and kind of, get different surnames so they can hide. But except for Asia, except for, let's say, much of Africa, they seem to be running just about every show in town in the globe. Don't just look at the presidents, prime ministers, by the way. You also want to pay close attention to who the finance ministers are, who the economic ministers are. Okay? And how is this possible? Once again, folks, the media determines all elections. That is a fact. Well, at least in democratic and would-be democratic countries that are trying to be democratic or trying to be seen as democratic. Okay? And then, of course, the money guys, right? The media and the money, right? You throw your money this way, throw your money to this candidate, and we saw this with Trump. We saw it with Trump. Elon Musk gave Trump nearly $300 million. He basically bought off the presidency, and you see what's happened. Elon Musk is coming in now. Folks, these guys in the White House are complete lunatics, crackpots, sociopaths, scam artists. The White House is completely run, completely controlled and owned by the billionaire crooks of America. Just about all of them, by the way, have to be related. FYI. And they're also related to the Trump family, by the way. Okay? Think about that for a second. Take a look at Elon Musk. What's Elon Musk doing? Then I'll get back to this guy here in a second. What's Elon Musk doing? He's going through, and folks, this is why people are so stupid. They believe something that they're told, and they don't look into it. Right? They believe that Elon Musk is coming in and cutting government waste. The government's inefficient. He's been caught lying over and over again. Complete lie. Okay? Now, is there waste that can be cut? Of course there is. But you've heard some of the nonsense that's been put out there. It's been debunked. It's complete horseshit. The whole agenda, there's two purposes to this, what's going on. Okay? The purpose is, number one, for money to be, expenditures to be cut to fuel Trump's tax cut that he's going to extend for corporations and the wealthy in 2026. That's the first reason. So they're going to go to the American public and say, look, we're saved all this money, and now we're ready to cut taxes for corporations and you guys. And, of course, he's not going to cut taxes for the anyone but really the most wealthy. Maybe you'll get a little bit, but you're not going to get anywhere near what they're going to get. Okay? That's the first reason. And the second reason, of course, and this is what Musk is doing, he's determining who's getting cut. Well, what do you think is determining that? Elon Musk is targeting government agencies that have caused issues for his companies or are anticipated to cause issues for his companies. Name the CFPB, right? The Consumer Finance Protection Bureau, which, of course, his Twitter, he's getting into the financial industry. He's going to be offering financial services, right? Many other agencies. So this is what's going on. And, but the problem is that you can't talk to people in America. I don't know about other countries, but in America, if somebody calls himself a Democrat or a Republican and they support a particular candidate, you can't tell them the truth. They're in a cult. They won't listen. They'll push it away. This is the problem. And who do you think does this? The media indoctrinates people this way. This is why you got all these blabbering talking heads in the media that do all this shit. The Ben Shapiros of the world. And this weasel, Ben Shapiro, he's a Mossad asset, by the way, in case you didn't know that. Okay? It should be pretty obvious. Just like Lex Friedman, another Mossad asset, by the way. Okay? Joe Rogan, that's right. And then you take a look at what these guys talk about, and they're supporting Israel and all this stuff. But don't be fooled. Don't be fooled, because occasionally they're going to throw in a little red herring there, and they're going to criticize, maybe what's going on in Palestine. They'll have somebody just to criticize it, right? Don't be fooled. Don't be fooled. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna cut away from that and finish with Rosenberg here. So let's listen what he has to say.
Or outright export bans.
What about oil, David? 4 million barrels a day, roughly, we sell to them. Would you put an export tax on crude?
That's more problematic, but why are we offering a discount on our heavy oil into the U.S.? Maybe we should consider removing the discount.
First of all, Canadian oil is low-grade horse shit. Let me repeat. Canadian oil is low-grade horse shit. Okay? The Saudi oil is the best fucking oil, the best quality oil. The Canadian Sands horse shit, by the way, FYI.
On oil into the U.S. I might carve out oil, and of course...
Why is that? Because it's so vital?
Well, what are you going to do with the oil that we're not going to export into the United States? What are we going to do with that? Where's it going to go? But there's other things that the U.S. needs. Now,
potash is a biggie. Yeah.
Well, yeah. Where are they going to get that from? Ukraine, all of a sudden? So they need that to grow their crops. There's things we could do that will hurt the U.S. There's really nothing we could do that's going to make it as bad as it is here.
Yeah.
But Americans did not vote in November for any pain whatsoever, and we could make them actually feel at least a little bit of pain. The other part is, what's the Europe doing right now, the EU? They're trying...
You hear that? You hear what this guy has to say? How can we hurt America? We need to hurt America. We need to make them hurt. Are you fucking kidding me? This guy has mental disorder. Stupid idiot. Hurt America? I hope Trump fucking comes out and smacks Canada down. Are you fucking kidding me? Hurt America? Okay, well let's intentionally try and hurt Canada. Are you fucking kidding me? First and foremost, clearly, I don't agree with how Trump is taking this approach with his tariffs. It's completely stupid and ridiculous. However, I can't change that. Okay? I can't change it at all. But the fact is, as I said earlier, Canada has no fucking cards in the game. They should be smart, sit back, take their licks, and it's not as if America just wants to go out and throw a tariff out there, right? Want the borders closed, and we want manufacturing back in America, right? And guess what? A tariff for a tariff. And if anybody knows about all this shit, it's me. I'm the guy, let me remind you all, some of you don't know, I'm the guy The only person in the world who detailed America's reckless trade policy in my 2006 landmark book, America's Financial Apocalypse, which also, that's a fucking PhD on America, that book. It should be in every fucking university in the country, right? I detailed healthcare. I explained exactly what's going on with healthcare. I detailed the trade policy is the number one problem of the country long term, and healthcare is the number two. Okay? And what's going on now? You're seeing this now. But these have been problems for a long time. I'm the only person that detailed all these things. I warned about the U.S.-China trade, national security threat, all this stuff. Okay? In addition to, of course, having predicted the financial crisis in extreme detail. Accurate prediction. Okay? And I was banned, by the way. I was banned. My book was banned. I remain banned. Why is that? Why the fuck is that? And you're getting promotion of all these fucking con artists. Well, one reason is because I don't have the right fucking name. So, if somebody had the right name who did what I did, they'd probably get some slack, even though it's going against the interests of the fucking mafia. If you expose the game the mafia's playing, the game of fraud and deception through healthcare, Wall Street, corporate America, many other things like I did, you're going to get banned. They don't want people to understand what's going on. You see, that's why I was banned. Now, if I had a different name, I might have gotten a little publicity here and there because, the mafia likes to stick together. This is the truth. This is the 100% fucking unadulterated truth, okay? This is the fact. Okay? I've been banned longer than some of you motherfuckers have been alive. You got it? The most banned, censored person in the financial industry in the world, probably in world history. For doing what? For predicting accurately the financial crisis and positioning every single investor who read my book, the 2006 extended version, and the 2007 real estate book. Anybody in the world who read that could have made a fortune. But guess what? I was shielded from the public. Think about why. Maybe if everybody knew what was going on in advance, it would have messed up the trade. I mean, it wasn't just these jugheads portrayed as superstars in Hollywood that made money. Some of these Wall Street firms made a lot of money. You know that, right? But more importantly, they didn't want anyone to raise the trade issue. They didn't want anyone to talk about illegal immigration, which I also detailed in that book 20 years ago, and how it was destroying the middle and working class. Right? Many other things. Okay? That's the reality, folks. I'm the most banned, censored person in the financial industry in the world. Ask yourself why I was censored and banned. Did I use any politically incorrect language in that book? No, not at all. I didn't even mention that nasty little 4-letter word that starts with a J ever in that book. Think about that one. Yet, I was banned. Nobody knows about me. You see, that's the deception. When you have gone through this like I have, folks, when you've lived through this, you got a really unique insight and depth and understanding how the fucking world operates. Okay? Especially when you're talking about the U.S. I mean, when you understand how the U.S. operates, it's pretty much, for the most part, you know how the world operates. Okay? Because the U.S. has so much influence on the world. So I have this personal experience. Yet, even today, I'm banned. Nobody wants to hear what I have to say. Why? Because it's not about providing you with what's going on, with real knowledge and insight. That's not what it's about. It's about fucking you. You understand that, right? Get it through your fucking head, you simpletons. There's two sides. There's two sides of the trade on Wall Street. There's two sides to everything. when it comes to content, the media, and ScamTube is media. There's two sides. The side that provides you with the content and the audience. Those are two different sides. They're not on your side. The content providers, the media, ScamTube, social media, all that shit, they represent who? They're backed by various entities, corporations, scammers, you understand? They're giving you this perception to try and mislead you, persuade you. They're not on your side. And I'm not talking about mainstream media. I'm talking about all fucking media. The most obvious is the alternative. Complete horseshit. 100% fucking disingenuous, inaccurate horseshit. Okay? That's what's going on, folks. That's the world we live in today. It's gotten that bad. It wasn't that bad 20 years ago, 30 years ago, 40 years ago. This is the world we live in today. Okay? It keeps getting worse and worse and worse. How it was for me, you know, it's much worse now. And this is why you're seeing complete idiot shills that don't know their head from their fucking ass, like Joe Rogan being promoted in this position. I mean, how do you think he got all this fucking exposure? You think he got it on his own? Are you fucking kidding me? You all don't know how things work, folks. This guy is connected with the media crime bosses. You know that, right? And the media crime bosses are all connected to the genocide activities going on in the Middle East, by the way. And let me just kind of remind you, or I'll show you. I don't know if you all knew this. We'll talk about this Columbia student here a little bit later. Let me show you something here. This video was removed. And this video was talking about billionaires linked to Israel trying to interfere with protests on college campuses, right? I should have saved the video. I don't remember, I remember I bookmarked it. So take a look at this headline here. Pro-Israel billionaires urge New York crackdown on Gaza protests. You all may have heard about this. The big deal with Bill Ackman, that piece of shit, parasitic fucking loser, who came out. I mean, can you imagine a grown man who has a lot of money, which he didn't earn, like all these parasites on Wall Street, many of which, by the way, are suspected, if not definitive, sex offenders and pedophiles. You know that, right? You all do know that. I mean, you've been keeping up with what's going on, right? They have to step down. But anyway, I'm not saying Bill Ackman is. He has that. Nothing has come out on him, but many of these other guys for sure. Bill Ackman came out last year and did what? He came out on Twitter, and this is when he aligned himself with Elon Musk, right? The guys, the disingenuous pieces of shit out there who you can't trust, they saw what was going on, including Elon Musk. Elon Musk realized, I talked about this before, he realized Biden wasn't going to win the election. What did he do? He warmed up to Donald Trump. Remember, this is Elon Musk, the guy who made all this money supporting the whole climate change hoax, right? Because he knew he could tap into billions upon billions of dollars of your fucking money if you're an American taxpayer. Okay? That's the story of Elon Musk's fucking life, man. He's gotten all his money through government fucking money, taxpayer money. This is a complete fraud, Elon Musk. No doubt about it. Absolute fraud. Insecure fraud and liar, you all know. Sociopath. Similar to his buddies, who also are running the show, Peter Thiel, complete sociopath. Elon Musk flip-flop. He started supporting Trump because he knew Biden wasn't going to win. So think about it. This is during a period when Tesla was starting to encounter problems in the EV market. I mean, the EV market collapsed, right? For a variety of reasons, which I'm not going to get into. They were experiencing problems. Elon Musk supported Trump for that reason. And then what happened? The whole Tucker Carlson, another fucking fraud, which people that support Trump, they believe this fucking fraud. People, is your mind so fucking small? You goddamn idiots. Are you fucking serious? Folks, it's quite easy. It's easy. Con men hang together. They hang together. Tucker Carlson, remember, Tucker Carlson came out last year and he got the fraudster piece of trash who should be in jail for life, Alex Jones. He got Alex Jones back on to Twitter. Tucker Carlson came out and made this stupid video. Well, made this interview and posted the video on Twitter about how Alex Jones has been right so much and this and that, and he's so great, and we need to put him back on Twitter. That's right. Alex Jones, the serial career con man fraudster, the complete piece of shit who's such a money-hungry piece of trash that he's willing to obsessively, persistently make up stupid conspiracies and claim that people weren't killed in all these shootings. It was actors. And go on and on about this for years. Keep telling his mentally deranged, stupid audience that they were actors and there were no children killed. Right? To the point where his psychopathic listeners actually went out and stalked and harassed the parents of these dead children. And Alex Jones did this to make money selling his fucking penis potions and all his other bullshit. He did it for money. Think about that. Think about it. Alex Jones banned me, by the way, long time ago. I've told the story. That motherfucker knows who I am. You fucking call him and you ask him about me. That piece of fucking trash. He almost got sued by me for copyright infringement. You ask that bastard. I got back at him, though. I abused his ass live on the air when he called into this radio show, this fucking scam radio show. I'll talk about that some other time, or maybe I'll talk about it now here. But Alex Jones, I was supposed to appear on his show, okay, in early 2008. I would have been the first credible financial person on his show ever. Ever. Prior to that, he had this guy, what's his name? Bob Chapman, complete fucking fraudster, con man, gold pumping idiot. See, let me explain to you guys what's going on with Alex Jones. You all might not remember this, but and for those of you who say, "Oh, you're going too long," get the fuck out of here. Don't listen. Fuck off. Go fuck yourself. Don't be here. Okay? You're gonna complain. Go cry to your mommy. Don't fucking come and complain and bitch and moan when I'm donating my fucking free, valuable time, a world-class fucking expert who doesn't make a single fucking penny off of doing this. Don't complain to me, you stupid fucking idiot. Okay? You see, back in the earlier days of Alex Jones, his most of his business model, he was making. I know Alex, folks. I've been investigating and exposing fraudsters for a long time. I know very well Alex Jones, his whole history. I've got many videos I made on the guy on my site, many articles. He's a shill. He's a shill for the mafia. So what happened with Alex Jones? He was pitching gold. Okay, GCN, Genesis Network, a subsidiary of Time Warner, by the way. Alternative media? Yeah, right. Anybody that thinks, oh, it's alternative media. Hey, dumbasses, do you understand how the media works? There is no fucking such thing as alternative media. That's a lie. You got it? It's a lie. How do you think they get on the airwaves? They're all connected to the big boys. Okay? It's just a fucking marketing tactic. Just like Fox versus MSNBC. You know, Fox, oh yeah, we're conservative. MSNBC, yeah, we're liberal. That's all marketing bullshit. They don't give a fuck. They're working together to screw you people. Fucking naive people, man. Alex Jones was selling gold. Okay, GCN was owned by Ted Anderson, who also owned Midas Resources, a gold fucking company. So Alex Jones, his whole fucking narrative was about, you know, this is bad, this is bad, this is bad, buy gold, buy gold, buy gold. So clearly, when that period around the financial crisis, you know, gold was going higher, things were not looking as good, right? Really pumping the gold, pushing the gold. And there's so many scams I could talk about with Ted Anderson and Midas Resources. Well, Alex Jones, to say, was peddling it. They were selling gold coins for huge markups on the spot price of gold. You know, the whole numismatic fucking scam. Max Kaiser did the same thing. You know, that's why Max Kaiser, the complete fraudster. I'm not going to get into that guy. I exposed him a long time ago. But, so, it changed, though. It changed. Why? Because what happened when all the gold con artists manipulated the price of gold to push it into a bubble. And I wrote about this. I warned that they were going to cause gold to pop because it was in a bubble and it could not be sustained. And I wrote an article and I said, look, you don't need to do this. Gold can go higher for a long time. But what's happening is they're pushing it into a bubble and it's going to pop. And that's exactly what happened around late 2010, early 2011. So what happened after that? Alex Jones really was doubling down on his penis fucking potions. That's why today he pushes all this, his supplements, all this bullshit, these placebos and horse shit. Now, he was pushing some of that stuff back when he was pushing gold, but I'm just talking about the emphasis. The priority now is not gold. It's this penis potion bullshit. Because he realized he could do with this Dr. Berg, another scammer on YouTube. You know, one of these guys who calls himself a doctor, but he's not an MD. He's a fucking chiropractor. Which is like, folks, you all understand what it takes to get into chiropractic school? It's like if you can't get into nursing school, you flunk out, you go to chiropractor school. Okay? It's like low level. It's not even, it's a fucking joke. I mean, you can imagine they're fucking, they're massage fucking therapists, okay? That believe in, acupuncture and think that, they can massage your back and cure cancer. Some of these guys anyway. Dr. Berg. Take a look at his channel. Complete fraudster. Virtually none of you are going to catch his lies because he's very slick about how he lies, okay? You have to know science to catch his lies, and you also have to check his references, and you have to know science. He's a complete liar and fraudster. And by the way, if you want to see a bunch of fucking cult members, go and read the comments. They're all in his cult. What Dr. Berg does is he pitches all this horse shit like, oh, okay, Dr. Berg, wow, I'm hearing this from you for the first time. There's millions upon millions of scientific researchers, medical researchers, doctors around the world. But you're telling us something that they've never told us. Oh, and by the way, you're going to sell the cure to us. I mean, wake up, dummies. Wake up. The point behind Berg, behind pitching, and this business model, by the way, it leverages the whole non-trust of establishment. I don't trust the government. I don't trust the medical system. Therefore, I'm going to buy vitamin C. It's going to cure cancer. Because guess who says so? Ed Griffin, the guy that wrote The Creature from Jekyll Island, the conspiracy, the Federal Reserve conspiracy, who's, by the way, notice who he's pumped by. He's pumped by all the alternative guys who pump gold, and take a look who they're all related to. You understand what I'm saying? Why is he promoted? He wasn't the guy that wrote the information on the Fed. He basically plagiarized that material, and he whitewashed it from Eustace Mullins. who wrote the book like 30 years before him. The reason why Edward Griffin is promoted in the whole alternative gold pumping establishment genre is because he whitewashes, who the bankers are. You got it? You got it? He calls them the bankers. He doesn't name names and talk about relationships. You got it? Boom. So, anyway. So, Alex Jones, the fraudster, the greedy, money-worshipping piece of shit, was willing to allow his cult members to harass the parents who have to deal with their children being assassinated in these shootings. That's right. And this is why I mentioned before, like, some of these motherfuckers out there with a YouTube channel, you better control your guys because you can be named in a lawsuit. You got it? If you harass me and you got these people come after me, it's because you planted ideas into their head that were wrong and that were lies to demonize me. And I can come after you, fat motherfucker. And that's exactly what we're talking about, by the way. That's right. I've got it documented. You understand? Because there's a lot of psychopaths out there. You understand, when you demonize a person and you create this mythical, like the person's a monster, you are inciting people to harass, to stalk this person. You are complicit in the crime. Teach you little fuckers about a little law here. You got it? This is exactly what happened to Alex Jones. You see? It's exactly what happened to Alex Jones. It's an unprecedented legal case. You see? That's why he got sued and lost $1.5 billion judgment, because he planted these ridiculous ideas into the minds of his followers. And his followers went out and they harassed, threatened, stalked the families of the children that were executed by these shooters. You understand what I'm saying? And this is something all you motherfuckers with YouTube channels should listen to. You better hear me out. You better be fucking careful. Better be real fucking careful. Okay? That's right. We set a new legal precedent. The Alex Jones case set a new legal precedent. Okay? Think about that. So, getting back to the main point, Tucker Carlson promoted Alex Jones. He said Alex Jones is credible. He's predicted so many things, which is a complete fucking lie. Alex Jones has never predicted anything. That's okay. That's fact. And you had all these fucking psychopath losers on Twitter who voted to put Alex Jones back on the platform. Okay? Because you see, Elon Musk decided to do that. He didn't have to do that, but he did it. Why? Because Elon Musk wants his cult to be happy. He wants all his little guys to be happy on this Twitter shit. Okay? So think about that for a second. This is who Donald Trump is aligned with, Alex Jones. And Alex Jones is aligned with Trump back in his first term, as well as all these other unreliable fucking fraudsters and idiots like Roger Stone, right? Steve Bannon, many others. That's just the beginning, though. So think about that. You've got Elon Musk on his Twitter aligned with Tucker Carlson, a complete fraud, disinformation fraud. And for those of you out there who don't know me, because you're already thinking right now, yeah, you're a Democrat. You support Biden because I know so, because you're trashing Trump. Hey, low IQ dumbass. Wrong, motherfucking wrong. Your logic sucks. Okay? This is what people think, folks. You all know this, right? If you criticize any of these fucking shysters, whether it's Biden or Trump or whomever, they automatically assume that you support the other person. And you know why? Because most people do. Because most people are that fucking stupid and controlled. They don't have any control over their fucking mind. There's no critical thinking out there. Okay. So you got Musk aligned with all these fucking crackpots. Musk buys off. And you all saw I did a video last year showing you how Musk, kind of played Trump. Oh, yeah, we got to have you, government efficiency. Okay. And then it's not just Musk. You got to understand. It's Peter Thiel, who's completely financially backed J.D. Vance, who J.D. Vance was also related to all these guys, by the way, in case you don't know that. If you all don't know that, folks, don't you think it's a very important thing that should be discussed when you're talking about this ethnic group of people that comprises a very tiny, minuscule percentage of the population, and they control so many things? There's got to be something going on. Well, they're brilliant. They're good businessmen. Yeah, okay. Okay. Yeah, whatever you say. Right. And you can't talk about it. Can't talk about it, can you? Whether it's Elon Musk, Peter Thiel, J.D. Vance, or the entire Trump family, by the way. Right? Or the wonderful lady running Mexico, as well as, well, I haven't checked lately, but I know from history, you can check the other countries in Latin America. I'm not saying all of them, but, and check the finance ministers, economic ministers, and you'll see a common thread, a common bond. Okay? Interesting, huh? Take a look at the top 10 richest people in the world, by the way. Take a look. Who are they? Who are they? Take a close fucking look. How is that possible? Well, they're good businessmen. Yeah. Just like the guys on Wall Street, all these hedge fund billionaires. Oh, they're great investors. No, they're not. No, they're not. You're just fucking stupid. See, folks, this is why I'm banned. Because I could expose the whole fucking shebang. And the guys that run the media, the guys that have the exposure, they don't want me to expose the shebang because the whole shebang, they're part of. You got it? You understand? You understand? I mean, think about all that I know. People should be lining up to hear what I have to say. Right? But instead, who are you hearing from? Think about, okay, who's Patrick Bet David? Some guy that never went to fucking college. Some street thug guy who can't even speak properly. Right? He sounds like a fucking street thug. A multi-level marketing fucking scammer. All that. Yeah, well, this is what I'm talking about, folks. And of course, you all don't know. All you know out there is what people have been indoctrinated to always make a decision, especially in America. You gotta pick a team. Either the Chiefs or the Eagles. Either Biden or Trump. Right? Same thing with the people you listen to. So who do you have to choose from? Well, just about all the big guys, they're all related. Have you noticed that? Have you fucking noticed that? Take a look, and by the way, take a look at Bloomberg. Take a look at CNBC. Not just the guests. Take a look at the hosts, the reporters, the talking heads. Take a close look. Just about all of them. You think I'm wrong? You think I haven't been looking at this for 20 fucking years and observing it? I'm not a dumb guy. Remember, I've got a graduate degree in chemistry from an Ivy League fucking university. I'm probably not too dumb. It doesn't take a genius to see these things that are right there in front of your fucking face if you open your eyes. Okay? Think about it. Think about it. So who do you have? You're going to make a decision. Oh, there's Joe Rogan. Oh, there's Ben Shapiro, right? The talking heads, the guys that take all, right? There's who else? Patrick Bet-David, Jordan Peterson, Sam Harris, all these other guys, right? And they're all fucking related to each other. So you decide who you want to listen to. Okay, well, I'm going to listen to this guy because he's better than this guy. He has better, you understand. Meanwhile, there's people that don't have a platform who you don't know about, but you think you're making the best decision because this is all that you know. And the problem is that these people that have all the influence, all the exposure, they're idiots. They're fucking idiots. And then you've got people thinking Jordan Peterson is brilliant. What? This guy's a fucking loser. He's an idiot. He's a moron. Not only is he a fake, I mean, this is how stupid people are. They actually believe that he was on their side. He's a front man. He's a liberal, pro-globalist, anti-white front man. He's controlled opposition. Now, I'm not the only one that knows that. There's some people that know that. But, you know, most people still don't know that. That was obvious to me from day one. Folks, always ask yourself the question, how is somebody appearing from nowhere and getting huge very quickly? How is that happening? It's not by accident. It's being orchestrated from behind the curtain. The same thing happened with Lex Friedman. He's clearly a fucking Mossad asset. In addition to being a complete ass kisser, an insecure incel loser, and fraud. I believe Lex Friedman obtained his degree, which is from a third-rate university, by the way, Drexel. I believe he obtained his degree through fraud, based upon my observation of his lack of intelligence and looking at the associations that we have seen. I've explained this before, by the way. I'll go ahead and explain it again. And you question these motherfuckers. Folks, do you ever think any of these fuckers would stand up to be confronted? No. They're not going to be confronted. No one's going to confront these guys. You understand? Notice that no one questions them because they're frauds. They won't allow it. I mean, don't you think, folks, here's how it works in the world. The more of a public figure you are, the more influential you are, the more you are subject to criticism. Because why? Because you influence a lot of people. You're held to a much higher standard. You understand? These people that have a big reach should be up for criticism. But they would never, ever allow themselves to be in that position because they know they're frauds. Lex Friedman, I already talked about this. This guy is such a pathetic loser. Oh, I'm going to go. I just ran 5 miles. Dude, what are you, 8 years old? How insecure are you? You pathetic weakling. What a fucking loser. This is a guy who comes out, you all probably know the story by now, a guy who, he went to a third-rate university, Drexel University, and I know the school. It's just a hop, skip, and a jump from University of Pennsylvania, where I went to school in Philadelphia. And it's a commuter college. I mean, they're only known for, like, basketball. It's a commuter fucking school. That's what it is. And so, okay, fine, whatever. But think about it. His dad was in the engineering department at that school. Now, anybody that knows anything about the past, after the World War II, there were a lot of, let's call them individuals, that came to America if you look into this, that actually got university positions that didn't have the PhDs. They lied, and they got the university positions, by the way. I'm not suggesting that that's the case for Lex Fridman's father. However, if he does have Mossad connections, you can easily see how he got a position there. Okay? I don't know about his father. What I do know is this. Why would you go, if your father is teaching at a school, a university, why would you go to that university? Especially if you were going to major in the same field that your father was a professor in. You don't want your father all over your ass. The great thing about college is you're getting away from your fucking parents for the first time. You really want your father, like, on your ass all the time? Oh, let me see your test. I heard you did bad. You understand? The last thing you want is to go to a university where your father is a professor. Okay? And I can't even imagine anybody who would ever want to go to a university where their father's a professor and they're majoring in the same field where their father is, in the same department. Now, the only exception would be, maybe, if it's a great school. Okay, University of Pennsylvania. Okay, well, gosh, my father's a professor there. I'm not going to go to another school because he's not there. I mean, this is a great opportunity for me, right? Or, in the case of Lex Fridman, MIT, right? Why do I say MIT? Because he had worked there. I don't think he works there anymore. I'm not sure. He worked there as a staff scientist guy, a staff position. So he was in a lab or whatever. He was a staff. He wasn't a professor. Let me explain to you all how these universities work. They have, especially the better universities, they have many different types of organizations. Some are federally funded, some are independent, that have nothing to do with, or very little to do with academia. It just depends upon the university and the organization. And so they hire outside people to work in those labs. Okay? And that's the case of Lex Fridman. He was a staff of MIT, working in some field, some lab. Okay? Yet he went around telling everybody, oh, I've got an MIT, implying that he was like a professor at MIT. I mean, this is known what he was doing. He was doing this, and I think basically anybody can teach a course if you're associated with MIT. An undergrad can teach a course. He taught a course. Like, oh yeah, teaching a course. Oh well, oh you're a professor. Yeah, and I was teaching a course. Oh, you must be a professor there. You understand? This is what he was doing, this knowingly to deceive people. Why? To get clout and status, because he knows, he's from Drexel. Like, I would be shocked if anyone who got a PhD from Drexel ever got a professorship at MIT, unless it was some fucking soft science like history or sociology or something bullshit like that. Something engineering, science, math, no fucking way. No fucking way. Okay? So why did he do all this? Because this was during the period when Tesla was on the move many years ago. The self-driving was coming out. And so Lex Fridman was supportive of Elon Musk's self-driving horseshit scam, which has already caused the death of at least 40 fucking people. That's right. Elon Musk ain't no different than any other corporate CEO, large corporate CEO in America. They all have fucking blood on their hands. You write that the fuck down. There ain't no corporate CEO, large multinational corporation I can think of that doesn't have blood on their hands in America. Okay? Of course, that addresses another topic, a discussion. Mr. Luigi Mangione, which we won't talk about today, who's considered a fucking hero by many people. That says a lot right there. Maybe I'll get in detail about that in the future. So you have Lex Fridman. He comes out and writes some paper, maybe a series of papers on self-driving, full self-driving. It wasn't peer-reviewed. In other words, if you're a professor and you're writing a paper and you're putting it out there, these days they have all these bullshit platforms. back in the old days before the internet, you had to get, if you're going to write a paper, you got to get it. It's got to go through peer review, get it published in a journal. Now they got all these ad hoc bullshit online publication, where you can just put something there that don't really mean anything. Lex Friedman wrote a little paper on self-driving, autonomous driving, and apparently, he works in a lab that's related to that. Okay. It wasn't peer reviewed at all. And he was pulling the whole self-driving line. Why? Because he wanted to get in good graces with Elon Musk. Okay? Now, if you look into this guy, I haven't looked into it in a while. I remember looking at it a couple of years ago, maybe 3 or 4 years ago. The publications he has, if you take a look, it's like, oh, wow, he's got publications. Folks, he's like the junior guy in all those publications. Okay? He's the junior. You can tell by where the name is on the publication. The location of the name will tell you who the principal investigator is and who the fucking minions are, by the way, in case you all don't know that. Okay? Lex Friedman, he's working in this group in MIT, so he's going to have his name on a paper if he's just fucking a data collector. You understand? He's not writing the fucking paper, you see? But that's what the typical chumps out there, oh, well, he's got publications, oh. He wrote this stupid articles. He put it out there. They weren't peer reviewed. Peer review is essential, in case you all don't know. You got to have peer review. If you're going to write an official paper, okay, it's not an opinion piece. It's an official paper. It's legitimate scientific paper. It's got to be reviewed by your peers. Okay? It's got to pass, a litmus test. He didn't do that. And so as a result of all this, he got into good graces with Elon Musk. Now think about it for a second. So you got this guy who's positioned himself basically as an MIT professor, despite the fact that he was not an MIT professor. He's a staffer who went to a third-rate fucking university, which, by the way, once again, I don't even think he earned his PhD at Drexel. I do not believe that he did. I believe he went there because he needed his father's helping hand to get him that fucking degree. Why else would he fucking go there? Why else would he go to a third-rate fucking school, Drexel University? Folks, I've said this before, if one of your parents is a professor at a university, you are almost guaranteed to be able to get into a better university than where they are. Please understand that. I don't know why. I'm just telling you, this is the norm. Maybe it's because, they look at you and, okay, well, they come from a family that's in academia. They take it seriously. I don't know. Whatever the mentality is, it's a similar situation, let's say, with athletes whose father is a coach. Like, they're regarded more, have a higher regard, okay? Simply for the fact that his father was at Drexel, I can guarantee you he would have been able to get into a much better school because of that. But he went to Drexel. Why? He wanted to have the helpful, to hang his head on his dad's shoulder every day when he went into the engineering department. Hey, Dad, good to see you. I mean, really? I believe he went to Drexel, the third-rate fucking university that's only known for basketball. I believe he went there to get a helping hand from his dad. Okay? And I believe Lex Friedman is a Mossad asset. Okay? Take a look at his channel. Take a look at all the guys he interviews. And take a look at, by the way, a close look, and do some numbers, do some basic statistics, and tell me what percentage of those guys are related, by the way. So, getting back to his channel, he got Elon Musk on his podcast, right? He got Elon Musk to come on his podcast. Why? Because he sucked Elon Musk's self-driving dick. You understand? Lex Friedman was instrumental in promoting that full self-driving fucking scam in Tesla several years ago. He validated it. Oh, well, you've got this guy, he put a paper through. He's an MIT guy. You understand? Because of that, Elon Musk allowed him into the circle jerk. Same thing with Joe Rogan. They all get in the circle jerk. And his channel blew up from that. You understand now what's going on. Now, Elon Musk should be facing civil and criminal charges related to the homicides that he's responsible for through Tesla, the full self-driving scam. You all know this, right? Too big to jail. Lex Friedman should be right there with him. You all do recall one of the first things when Trump won the election was that coming from the White House, some officials were talking about how they were trying to work with the Department of Transportation to remove the requirement that these self-driving cars report all the accidents. Guess why? Because Tesla is responsible for the vast majority of the accidents. Elon Musk doesn't want to report it. You understand what's going on, right? So, getting back now after all that backstory, let's get back to the pro-Israel billionaires, because this is all related, right? Back last year, when you had the Palestinian students on many of these college campuses, I think it was Columbia first, Harvard, Columbia, they were protesting against the war between Israel and Palestine. We'll say Hamas, okay? They're protesting because of the complete genocide, which clearly is occurring. Of course, RFK doesn't want to tell you it's occurring. He claims it's not occurring because you know why, right? The same reason why now he's been approved to enter the Trump administration, and the same reason why now, for some strange reason, it's been said that his files related to Epstein aren't being released. They're protecting the release of his files. You understand? The bottom line, RFK knows who butters his fucking bread. Okay? Just like every motherfucking criminal in Washington. They all know whose dick to suck. Okay? If you're not supporting Israel, you're not going to stay in office. You're not going to get in office. That's a fact. Okay? If you're not supporting Israel, you can forget it. You're gone. You all should know this by now. Okay? And so, take a look here. This goes back to Bill Ackman comes out. You all might recall. Bill Ackman comes out and starts threatening all these students. I want to know the names. He wants to know the names, Bill Ackman does, of these students, because I want to make sure they don't get a job ever. Bill Ackman was harassing these students, their right to protest. Now, before we continue, let me just go ahead and state this, because there's a lot of stupid fucking people out there that don't have any sense of logic. Let me just go ahead and state, I don't support Palestine or Palestinian. I don't care. It's none of my fucking business. I don't give a shit. As far as I'm concerned, I don't want a single penny of my fucking tax dollars to go to Israel, to go to Palestine, to go to Ukraine, to go anywhere. Okay? I don't care about that shit. However, the fact is that these students have a right to protest. This is America, of course. I mean, you have to go to totalitarian banana republics where you don't have that right. The right to protest is guaranteed by the U.S. Constitution. They were protesting against the brutality, the genocide going on in Palestine. You all seen what's going on there. Israel has been just attacking hospitals and schools and children. It's just shocking and I've been keeping up with what Israel's been doing over the years. They've been attacking and slaughtering Palestinians for a very fucking long time, for decades. Okay? This is just gives them another excuse to do this. So you have these people that are protesting this. Nothing wrong with that. What's wrong with that? What does Bill Ackman do? He doesn't like that, because Bill Ackman, he's an Israeli, right? Got to support the team. Bill Ackman actually comes out and threatens to ruin the careers of all these protesters. And he demands the names of these people. I mean, can you believe this shit? How the fuck is Bill Ackman not having any type of legal action taken against him? That's what I want to know. That's not enough for Bill Ackman, the parasite, the stock manipulating parasite, Bill Ackman, who, by the way, and for all you naysayers out there, yeah, I had Bill Ackman on the fucking telephone in 2008, and he was begging me to get my fucking book. I got the email. I showed the email, by the way, the follow-up email. But tell you what, Bill, you ain't going to get none of my fucking research. That's why I don't never write no fucking books for nobody. Nobody. You get nothing. You had your fucking once-in-a-lifetime chance, and I was banned. Okay. So that's not enough for Bill Ackman. He has to get a group. He forms a group. Mr. Steinleicht as well. And they go on WhatsApp. And they're sitting there scheming on how they can, what they can do, where they can toss their money, and how they can thwart any type of protests against this genocide. Can you believe this shit? Take a look. You can read the article for yourself. Okay? And also Eric Adams, the mayor, they paid this guy off so he would call the police to arrest the protesters at Columbia. Okay? Take a look. Take a look. Here's a Mr. Starbucks here. You know, this parasite who, like many of these guys, they like to use their influence in their corporation to brainwash people. Hey, buddy, just Mr. Schultz, just serve the fucking coffee and save the political issues elsewhere. We don't want to hear it. Michael Dell, fucking fraud. Michael Dell's a fraud, scam artist. That's right. I can say this with confidence because I got a good memory from 20 years ago when Dell Computer was scamming everybody with their fucking warranties bullshit. And there's Bill Ackman. I don't know who this clown is. Oh, this is the Kushner. You know, the Kushner guy, right? You know, the son-in-law of Ivanka, you know, the son-in-law who was able to get his dad a pardon. His dad, the fucking crook, in jail. He was in jail until Trump pardoned him. And all these other guys, they're scheming to see how they can make sure that these college kids don't protest. It kind of reminds me, of course, you don't hear about it anymore. What's going on here, right? It kind of reminds me of the whole Weinstein, the whole Weinstein saga. Remember the Weinstein brothers several years ago when they were exposed for all their rapes and sexual deviancy, all these things that went on. And then this kind of exposed the veil of Hollywood, all these people, right? It kind of reminds me of this because the media has, as much as possible, they have swept it under the carpet. When in reality, it should be talked about to this day, every fucking day. Just like Epstein. And of course, Mr. Epstein, why do you think the files haven't really been released? You know why? Because the vast majority of people in connection with Epstein are related. You understand? So you can see this leaked message revealed that a group started by business leaders and financiers after October 7th eventually touched the highest levels of the Israeli government, the U.S. business world, and elite universities. The messages offer a window into how some prominent individuals have wielded their money and power in an effort to shape American views of the Gaza war, as well as the actions of academic, business, and political leaders, including New York's mayor. You might recall, I believe, the Harvard president, it was, I think, was forced to step down, but this was more tied to, I think, allegations of plagiarism for her thesis. But obviously, it was related to this their unwillingness to go after the students. I mean, this is very dangerous, folks. This is a very dangerous situation to have in a democratic country. America doesn't really have a democracy anymore, and it's been that way for a while now. And the Trump administration is clearly the nail in the coffin, right? So, and once again, this was a video someone made on this, and it was YouTube has terminated it. You know why. And so take a look at this. And so when the Washington Post wrote an article talking about this mayor, how he was manipulated by these guys to go after the students, take a look at the reaction. And this is from the Jerusalem Post, by the way. You can see. Take a look. So this story, and you can actually look up, I think Washington Post, I looked this up like last year or something, or not last year, but yeah, last year I looked it up. And I think when I looked at it, I probably have the link somewhere. A deputy of Mayor Eric Adams has charged the Washington Post with anti-Semitism for publishing a story about wealthy Jews organizing an advocacy campaign for Israel and pressing the mayor to take action against anti-Israel protests at Columbia University. So think about that for a second. Oh, anti-Semitic. Oh, just weaponize the word anti-Semitism. You notice that's the latest trend, right? Can you believe that? What a fucking piece of shit. So you can read here. Washington Post article published on Thursday centers on a group chat on the WhatsApp messaging platform. In the chat, Jewish billionaires and prominent business figures discussed advocacy for Israel, including by facilitating showings of an Israeli government compilation of footage of Hamas's October 7 attack on Israel. Last month, after pro-Palestinian students set up an encampment on Columbia's campus, the article says members of the chat strategized about how to persuade Adams to call in the NYPD and shut it down. They discussed donating to Adams' re-election campaign, urging Columbia's trustees to take action in hiring private investigators. So this article is anti-Semitic. This is what this stool pigeon claims. Right. Here you go. So Fabian Levy, this is the deputy mayor for communications, the mayor's office. He says the insinuation that Jewish donors secretly plotted to influence government operations is an all too familiar anti-Semitic trope. I guess everything is, in other words, no one's ever guilty of anything. No one is ever guilty of anything. It's always an anti-Semitic trope, right? I mean, the messages are clear. This is evidence here. Clearly that's what was going on. So anyway, and this stream will probably get shut down. I can't report the news. I can't talk about the news. I mean, what's going on? I mean, right? So, that's all I want to say about that. This is another little talking point here. This is interesting. Billionaire Mark Cuban once ran a Ponzi scheme to pay for his college tuition. Now, does that surprise any of you people out there? Does that surprise you? We'll get back to Trump here later. Think about that for a second. And as you'll recall, whenever they call someone a billionaire, it means they don't have anything to their name worth a damn. Like, they don't know what the fuck's going on. They have nothing that they're noted for. Oh, he's a billionaire, so therefore he's great, right? Because Mark Cuban's never done anything. He's a useless fucking parasite. That's it. Not only that, he's also a fucking drunk. As I have confirmed, having run into this piece of garbage, stone drunk, in nightclubs. That's right. Several times. What a loser. So think about it. Does it surprise you guys? Folks, tigers never change their stripes, right? This is what I'm saying. When you can spot a scammer, you should know, right? This is why I'm not surprised. Mark Cuban is a dishonest piece of garbage. It's pretty obvious. You think I'm surprised at this? Right? I mean, he got in bed with Voyager Digital, the Ponzi scheme, right? So this is not surprising. Anyway. Okay, so Trump's cabinet picks. Let's take a look here. Folks, we're talking about, as I mentioned, a while back, it's the Alex Jones dream team of crackpots and scammers. Talked about RFK Jr. earlier, the guy that claims that measles is not a deadly disease. I mean, folks, this is going to be a guy who's running a major medical health-related agency. Between him, RFK Jr., and Dr. Oz, they're going to be running human health services, Medicare, Medicaid, being run by two crackpots. I talked about Dr. Oz. Dr. Oz is an obvious fraud. Okay. And once again, let me just repeat this. I should have repeated it when I was talking about Alex Jones. People who sell nutritional supplements are fucking scammers. That's invariable. It's an invariable observation that I have made. Okay? Now, take a look at all these people who sell nutritional supplements. Alex Jones has been doing that shit. Why? Because it's placebo. It's bullshit. It fits with their whole conspiratorial horseshit. The medical industry, healthcare is evil. Rockefeller founded evil system designed to keep you sick. That's what they tell you, right? We've got a better way, they want to tell you. These are the same crackpots. Joe Rogan, another guy who sells nutritional supplements. Tim Ferriss, all these guys, they're all fucking scammers. Nutritional supplements industry is one huge scam. Should be regulated by the FDA. Okay, not only is it a scam, many of these nutritional supplements are actually very unhealthy, if not deadly. Why? Because most of them come out of laboratories in China. Right? Do you understand the standards of production in China? Well, if you don't know about the history of China production of substances, you might want to look into the infant formula. They've had 2 crises over the past several years, which caused deaths, okay, due to laced infant formula. So, I mean, it's China. What do you think? The fucking communist country. What do you think? You actually think you have high standards there? This is where your nutritional supplements are coming from, folks. Not only are they placebos in most cases, you're talking about potentially dangerous substances because they're coming out of China. Okay, all these guys are frauds that promote nutritional supplements. All of them. Whenever you see someone with their little podcast or their ScamTube channel or their Twitter channel or whatever, and they're pitching nutritional supplements, write it the fuck down. They're a scammer. Write it the fuck down. They're a scammer. Joe Rogan, Tim Ferriss, you name it. Alex Jones. So, Marco Rubio. Remember this guy when Trump used to trash this guy? Right? This guy is such an ass kisser. Like all these politicians are like, the politicians in the media, they're very similar. They're fucking whores. Politicians in media, they're whores. They'll do whatever, say whatever they need to say, wherever the money is. Piece of shit. And of course, by the way, I want you to take a close look at these people and tell me how many of them are related. You understand? Most of them, the majority of them, I would say, the rule of thumb when you're talking about control of vital things, media, finance, even, people who have talk shows, podcasts. 90% is the rule. That's a general rule. We're looking at 90% representation. When you're talking about a group that has representation in the population of 1%, 2%, depending upon what we're talking about, what part of the world, well, if you're seeing a representation of 90%, you do the statistics. It's mathematically impossible unless there's something going on. Okay? And of course, they're all related so far. And this piece of shit who's not releasing all the Epstein files. Folks, what do you think? You think that, and I'm going to show you here why you're not getting a full release of the Epstein files. Okay? Obviously she's there to make sure that the files aren't released that pertain to Trump. Related. This guy is such a fucking carnival barker. What a fucking... I didn't even know who this guy was. But listen to this. I kind of ran across this guy. Somebody asked me in a webinar research about this guy. So I remember the name. And then I ran across something and I heard this guy. And I'm thinking, this guy's a fucking... Who would trust this guy? He's a carnival barker. And then I was like, wait a second. Oh, that's right. This is the guy from Cantor Fitzgerald. It's a fucking boiler room. It's like they're a fucking boiler room shit show. Which makes sense. Think about it. Does this sound like a person, a credible CEO of a financial firm, how they're going to talk? This guy's a complete fucking con man, which he fits into the Trump administration perfectly. Yep. There you go. Health and Human Services. Remember, this guy, anti-vaxxer, okay? And for any anti-vaxxers out there, you're fucking delusional. Now, I'm someone who's been critical of the medical system. I wrote a book on healthcare. I exposed the whole system. It's completely fucked for many reasons. And the fact is that, sure, there are definitely issues with any new medication, including vaccines. The newer a drug or therapy or vaccine is, the less safe it is. That's a fact. Why? Because the real testing occurs in the normal course of use in the population. That's fact. Okay? Now, that's much different than what these anti-vaxxers are saying. Okay? Like RFK. And this guy is such a piece of shit, rainbow chaser. He's willing to say and do anything to get attention. He was a fucking unheard of nobody 5 years ago, 6 years ago. Right? Then he writes some stupid fucking anti-vaxxer book. To ride the whole gravy train of all these conspiracy nutcases. This is what he did. It's kind of like Jim Rickards. Jim Rickards, the bald dude who claims that he worked for the CIA. He advised the CIA, financial intelligence bullshit, which is a complete fucking lie. I contacted the CIA. They never heard of the guy. Jim Rickards, he's also related to all these people, by the way, which is why he's pumped in the media. He's a complete fraud, liar, gold pumper. He jumped aboard the gold pumping bandwagon, Jim Rickards. He was nowhere to be seen or heard of during the financial crisis. All of a sudden, after gold soared, he comes out with a book in 2012. Oh, currency wars, gold, buy gold. Because why? Because he saw all the fucking lunatic gold kingpins out there promoting gold. He wanted to ride that gravy train. You understand? The same reason why a lot of these people out there will come out and they'll toe a certain line, a certain narrative, just to get interviews so they can sell their books. Dishonest fucking pieces of shit. This is how the whole fucking media apparatus works, by the way, folks, in case you didn't know that. So, RFK Jr. did the same fucking thing. He saw all the anti-vaxxers out there, all the controversies behind COVID and so forth. He writes a book to capture that crowd. You understand? And it just so happened that Trump wins the election. You got all these nutcases, and Trump, puts him in office. Okay. I don't follow the news really, but if you're online looking at stuff, you're going to hear and see things, and so obviously I ran across this whole release of the Epstein in this Attorney General Bondi. Yeah, she's related. Of course, she's not going to release the files that are damning to Trump, right? And so the question is, what's Trump have to hide? What's he have to hide? Now, I wrote an article and did a video back about 10 years ago during this whole Pizzagate. You all remember the Pizzagate? Now, I wasn't paying attention to that. I only heard about it from some guy who asked me what I thought about Pizzagate. I said, what the hell's Pizzagate? He told me about it, and I said, what? You believe this shit? I said, this is clearly horse shit. When I heard that, I was like, what? But everybody believed it, just like they believed the whole Mayan calendar collapse. 2012 is the end of the world. You stupid fucking people. Look in the mirror and tell yourself, I'm stupid. I'm going to change myself. Jesus Christ. Why are you so stupid, people? You're believing nonsense. Because why? Because you're being told over and over again by your trusted sources out there. They're repeating the horse shit. And when the horse shit doesn't pan out, guess what? You don't call them out. So during the whole Pizzagate bullshit, guess what else was really happening? I believe it was a smokescreen to cover up for Trump. So let me kind of tell you guys, refresh your memory if you don't remember the Pizzagate. I don't know the details, but let me pull this up. This is basically something related to the release of some emails from Hillary Clinton. They're referring to some things, and apparently, I don't know. There's some allegations of this Podesta guy, and apparently there was somebody made up something where there's supposed to be some type of a child trafficking going on at some pizza place. Okay, I don't know the details. Something, basically, it was kind of a projection of what Trump was alleged to be involved with Epstein. They threw it onto Clinton, so that all you heard about were the allegations against Clinton. Now, let me be clear, for the record, I think Bill Clinton, and of course his wife is with that, I think the Clintons are dirty, rotten, criminal pieces of shit. And I believe Bill Clinton is connected, indirectly to the murders of many people over the years to cover up for all his dirty bullshit, all the problems he's created. So I obviously don't like the Clintons at all. Okay, but my point is that I believe this whole Pizzagate was propagated in order to cast a shadow, a smoke cloud for the allegations with Trump and Epstein. What was going on during that time, Trump and Epstein? Well, there's somebody filed a lawsuit that claimed that Epstein and Trump raped her when she was 13. Okay? And that was under the radar. I was one of the few people out there who actually wrote about it, talked about it, and I actually have the court case, which is now, well, maybe you can find it now, but they pulled it because it was pulled 3 times. The last time it was pulled was because the lady who filed it she claimed that she was threatened. Her life was threatened many times. So, let me show you, give you an idea here. You can just read this. Okay. So there's allegations of Trump child rape. Now, it's interesting because if you all seen the picture, and I posted it on my site in videos. You seen the picture? I wasn't thinking about it, but actually I can do it right now. Let's see if you get a search right now. Trump with young Ivanka. You ever see that picture? There we go. Look at that. Look at that. You ever see this picture, folks? This shit in the way. Yeah. Look at that. I mean, is something wrong with this picture? Right? I think so. I mean, look at the way she's looking at him. I mean, look at that seductive look. And look at his smile. He got a big smile. And do I have a wide imagination? This looks a little weird to me. Okay? Anyway, it looks strange. Let's be honest. Look at that. So, anyway. There were allegations that Trump and Epstein were child rapists. Obviously, Epstein, safe to say, was. Remember, Trump said Epstein was a great guy. He claimed he was a great guy. Later on, Trump claims he doesn't remember him. He was a great guy. He was at all these parties. He was cited at all Epstein's parties, right? And you can just go through and read this. So, court documents accusing former U.S. President Trump and the late billionaire sex offender. Now, by the way, when this was written, the court documents were actually before he won his first term. It was the year before, in 2016, I believe. And late billionaire sex offender Jeffrey Epstein of raping a 13-year-old girl identified as Katie Johnson and often shared by Trump's detractors on social media. Though the Johnson cases were dismissed or withdrawn, those claims laid groundwork for and lent perceived credibility to other entirely unsourced rumors that the former president had settled a myriad of lawsuits with underage assault victims, pointing evidence of his alleged pedophilic disorder. You can just go and read this here. And I guess these are the many pictures that Trump has been seen with Epstein. Trump has been to many of their parties, looks like. This allegation, since its origin in late 2016, has always been supported by images of court documents describing graphic rapes allegedly perpetrated by Trump and convicted sex offender financier Jeffrey Epstein. These court documents are a part of the lawsuit that alleges in 1994 an associate of Epstein recruited a 13-year-old girl originally identified as Katie Johnson to become his sex slave. Epstein raped the girl, the documents claim, and also forced her to have sex with Trump on multiple occasions in both New York and Florida. The filings also include testimony from anonymous witness corroborating the allegations. These images accurately show real court documents, but not ones connected to the ongoing release of Epstein grand jury files. Okay, so anyway, you can just read all this. Memes referencing the latter series of claims which originated in a da-da-da-da-da-da-da. Okay. So apparently these are allegations of individuals. Wow, there's a guy involved. It's two guys. Wow, Trump is alleged. I'm assuming he's alleged to have raped two men when they were 10 and 11. I didn't hear that one before. Interesting. Oh no, three. Kevin. Wow. So he swings both ways. Okay. So anyway, I wanted to show you all this here. Here's the document, actually. You can read it. This is the document from my files. You can read the court document. It's kind of interesting. It's disturbing, no doubt about it. And it's also interesting, and it's also even has a little bit of levity. There's a couple of episodes that are actually funny. If you can find some type of humor in this whole episode, but if you read it, you'll know what I'm talking about. I mean, pretty much detail here. You can just go through and read all this. And then, here's the funny part. you can read right here. The defendant, Donald Trump, was clearly heard referring to defendant Jeffrey Epstein as a blank bastard as he yelled at defendant Epstein that clearly he, defendant Trump, should be the lucky one to, quote, pop the cherry of plaintiff Johnson. Anyway, so the point is this why Bondi has failed to release everything? I mean, clearly you all understand. Everybody that's in Trump's administration is ultra loyal to Trump, or they're gone. They're going to be supportive to everything. They will hide any type of criminal activity by Trump. That's part of being on Team Trump, I guess, right? So clearly there's something going on there. It's, to me, because the president is clearly involved with Epstein or was involved with him, I don't know why there wasn't an independent agency that was handling this. Once Trump got elected, sorry, Trump, you're involved. We now have to let an independent agency handle this. Okay. So that's kind of what I wanted to say about that. And let's see what we got here. So this is something I talked about earlier. I'll bring this one up here a little bit later. So this this is the most recent thing as far as I know. Apparently there was a protester at Columbia, I don't know, a few days ago, a Palestinian man, young man, who was I think a grad student. And so he's protesting on Columbia about the war. You imagine if you're a U.S. citizen and you are studying, overseas somewhere, and America is involved in a war, and let's say, well, America's a bad case because America wouldn't be the one being genocided, right? But just assume that. I mean, you're going to stand up and protest. The world needs to know what's going on. Why is this being permitted, right? And so, of course, you all remember what I talked about with Bill Ackman and his little gang of guys on WhatsApp? So what happened? Well, Trump is in the White House now, and guess what? You know who runs Trump. You know what's going on. I mean, it should be obvious. Remember, Trump showed his cards before the first election, before his first term, when he was running on his first campaign back in 2015. And I know this because I made a video and I put the clip in there when Trump says he's going to bring in guys on his cabinet like Carl Icahn. Guys like Carl Icahn. That's who he wanted in his cabinet. And, of course, he actually later tried to bring Carl Icahn in. And you know who Carl Icahn is. He's a parasite. This guy is a complete scumbag who destroys jobs. He exploits people. He's a stock manipulator. He's a piece of garbage. He's one of these Wall Street type of money worshiping guys. No moral compass. They're all the same. That's who Trump wanted to work with. Okay? So that told me the story right then. I already knew before, but it confirmed it. Well, you think the story's changed? If anything, it's a lot more. Of course, Trump is he's claimed he's the most pro-Israel president ever, right? Well, he's showing that with this because through Trump's order, he had this young student basically arrested, detained, and they're trying to deport him. He's a green card holder. So think about that. He's a green card holder, and they want to deport him for protesting. That's it. America is in deep trouble. Folks, I said this a while back when Trump got into office and announced all the crackpots. America is in very deep trouble, in case you all don't know this. And once again, I'm not a Biden supporter. Okay? Never have been a supporter of any Democrat. Ever. America is in deep fucking trouble. I'll get to that more here in a second. Let me finish off with this guy. You can listen for yourself.
The Trump administration has no interest in Jewish safety. They are co-opting anti-Semitism as their, chant.
Now you hear that? You hear what that lady says? Notice she's from Hollywood. Notice her name. And everything is anti-Semitism, right? Come on. Come on. Yeah.
To get what they want, and I won't have it.
You know what's funny? Let me explain something, folks. So think about that. They're weaponizing anti-Semitism. Oh, anti-Semitism. That's bullshit. First of all, there are many Jewish people, many Jewish Americans do not support Israel. Israel and the actions of Israel, the military actions of Israel, do not necessarily have anything to do with Jewish people. I said, do not necessarily. You understand. We're talking here about the difference between Zionists and Jews who are not Zionists. There are many Jews who don't support what Israel's doing, and they never have. Okay, that's a fact. So you understand the difference, right? So she wants to basically say that because the people they're protesting this war, that it's anti-Jewish. No, it's not. It's anti-war. It's anti-genocide. That's what it is. You see the manipulation, right?
I'm just standing up for my rights, and I'm standing up for Mahmoud Khalil, who has been abducted illegally and taken to an undisclosed location. Does that sound like America to you?
You hear that? So he was abducted, this Palestinian. Once again, I don't support Palestine or Palestinians. I don't give a shit what goes on in that part of the country. Sorry. We have many problems in America. We got too many problems in our country. Okay? But I do recognize that Israel has been for decades slaughtering Palestinians, innocent Palestinians, and taking their land. That's fact. Okay? Do I care about it? Not enough for my tax dollars to go over there. Okay? Doesn't concern me. And it shouldn't concern anybody in America, much less our politicians. It's not our war. It's not our problem. Okay?
As a raucous pro-Palestinian protest continued to grow at Foley Square in the shadow of federal court, inside, attorneys for Mahmoud Khalil accused the federal government of unlawfully detaining the Columbia student and then moving him around the country to make it harder to fight his deportation. Back outside, a statement from Khalil's wife was read aloud. She's 8 months pregnant.
It's shameful that the United States government continues to hold him.
Activists at Columbia University is calling for him to be released from ICE custody. Immigration and Customs Enforcement agents arrested Mahmoud Khalil Saturday. They claim his student visa was revoked, but Khalil's attorney says he's in the country on a green card. ABC's Ike Ajachi joins us now with more on that story. So what do we know, Ike, about Khalil's arrest? And
folks, this is all, now you know why I talked about Bill Ackman and his gang. This is all about Bill Ackman and his wealthy billionaire Israeli people who did all this. Remember what happened last year? All the outcry against the Harvard president, Columbia, because the presidents did not want to interfere with the students protesting. That's their right. You understand what's going on now? It's all been taken over now, and then Trump now is the guy doing all this. This is disgusting.
the confusion over his documents?
Well, as of Sunday, we know that Khalil was essentially located in Elizabeth, New Jersey, in an ICE detention center. That's according to an ICE locator online. But his wife, who was 8 months pregnant, said that he isn't at that facility. Now, his attorney, Amy Greer, said that it's likely he's being transported to another facility in Louisiana. But the question here, again, remains as the dollars.
Has the Trump administration responded to any questions about this case?
Yeah, we have. We've seen Secretary of State Marco Rubio essentially release a statement overnight saying that we will be revoking the visas and or green cards of Hamas supporters in America so they can be deported. We saw Homeland Security spokesperson Tristan McLaughlin addressing Khalil's arrest.
You see what's going on there? Marco Rubio, piece of fucking shit. Once again, I don't support Palestine. I don't care about Palestine, but clearly this guy has a right to protest. He's not supporting Hamas, and if he is, it doesn't matter. He can. He's protesting the inhumane massacre of Palestinians.
So is the Secretary of State saying Khalil is a supporter?
Well, that's
of
essentially
Hamas?
what the administration is pointing to. We see so many factors saying that we were going to take actions against Hamas supporters. However, obviously, his attorney, Amy Green, saying there's no such evidence that her client, Khalil, is any kind of supporters. Obviously, those protests harbored several kinds of students, but him acting.
Matter of simply violating university rules. This is a movement, an anti-war movement.
Agents from President Donald Trump's administration have arrested Palestinian graduate student Mahmoud Khalil, who played a prominent role in last year's pro-Palestinian protests at New York's Columbia University. That's according to a statement released by the Student Workers Labor Union, which added that Khalil was arrested by U.S. Department of Homeland Security agents at his university residence on Saturday. Khalil has been one of the lead negotiators with school administrators on behalf of the pro-Palestinian student protesters.
Okay, so anyway, what a fucking joke. And the final segment here, I want to show you guys this. We've got Richard Wolff, who I've taken down before. This guy is a low-level economist. He claims he's an economist. Okay, he taught economics, whatever. He's a fucking clown. Okay. He's not the sharpest knife in the drawer, I can tell you that. And this is a guy who, he's a Marxist. He's a Marxist. He supports communism. He's a communism guy, by the way. Okay? Now, let me just say this. I challenge you to find someone in America who's a Marxist supporter, a Marxist professor, a professor of Marxism, who sides with communist China, who's always telling you how great China is, even though China is a fucking joke. Okay? Find me someone who does this like Richard Wolff does, who's not named Mr. Wolff, who doesn't have his name. And you're going to see someone who, number one, is going to be ignored by the media, and number two, who's going to be criticized. But Richard Wolff, because his name is Richard Wolff, wink, wink, doesn't get the criticism, and he gets the media coverage. You understand? It's the privilege, and it ain't white privilege. You got it? Let's listen to what he has to say.
But it isn't anymore. And that's perhaps the most important thing that I can tell you. And I'll say it as bluntly as I know how. The American empire is over. We're done. We peaked about 12, 15 years ago, and we are on a down. And it's very hard for the American people, which I understand. I am one.
No, you're not. You're a scumbag. You're a parasite. You don't know what you're talking about. You didn't predict the financial crisis. You don't know what's going on. You're a clown. This is a guy who's been saying the same thing. He's a broken clock for years. It's almost as if he's a paid shill for the CCP. So think about it for a second. If the American empire is over, what about China? Where do you think China is? China is fucked. I can tell you right now. China is fucked. That's coming from me, the expert, the guy who predicted China's boom, predicted China's bust, who knows China inside and out, who's been studying China for more than 20 years. And it's obvious China has peaked. No doubt about it. China rode the coattails of U.S. commerce, of outsourcing. They stole intellectual property. They had nothing. They were living in the forest 40 years ago. So what happened? Greedy corporate America, as I wrote about in my book 20 fucking years ago, our friendly corporate America friends who wanted to focus on profits. And you know what corporate America, who they represent. They don't represent your ass who's got 100 shares of this stock or 1,000 shares of this stock. No. You're a nobody. They represent the guys, the billionaires. You understand? And you know who those guys are. The same guys who are running Wall Street. Okay? Those greedy money worshipers sold out America during a period when no other country in the world was outsourcing. America led the charge. And through time, other countries have been forced to outsource to survive. Namely, our friends in Europe. Okay? Yet, developing countries still won't outsource. You better believe they won't do it. What do you think is going to happen? What do you think is going to happen if India starts sending jobs to China? What do you think is going to happen in India? The same thing that happens in Brazil when they raise the bus fare. Fucking violent protests. Folks, let me explain something to you. Because you got these fucking whiny parasites like Sean Hannity who brainwash you stupid motherfuckers out there. You got to understand, all these people in the media, they're not on your side, just like corporate America. They're not on your side. They're your fucking enemy. They're your fucking enemy. All these huge corporations, all these media guys, whether alternative, mainstream, they're all your enemy. They're against you. They're there to fuck you. They don't want to give you the truth. They want to screw you. Okay? They want to tell you peaceful protests. Well, I don't know. As far as I've seen, I've never seen any protest that was peaceful that did jack shit. You understand? There's no such thing as a peaceful fucking protest. If you're going to protest something, okay, you hit the fucking streets. And you do it the right way if you want something to happen. That's what they do in France. That's what they do in Brazil. That's what they do everywhere, it seems like, other than America. Because Americans are all under fucking mind control. Okay? It's fact. Corporate America sent your jobs overseas for higher profits for their masters, the owners, the real owners of those companies. Okay? Wall Street gave them the ideas. They did it. Congress passed it. Congress allowed them to do it. In fact, Congress not only allowed them to do it, they passed laws to make it happen, to make it more favorable. Okay? As I wrote about in my book, Congress and corporate America, they worked to fuck American working and middle class for the past 30 years. And as far as I'm concerned, if I'm running the show, I'll put them all in fucking prison. They committed treason. No other country at that time was sending jobs overseas. Only American corporations. Who the fuck do you think fueled the growth in Asia, in Latin America? Your fucking job that you would have had. American jobs, American industry, American living standards, American incomes were unwillingly sent to Latin America, to Asia, through outsourcing. And that's why the living standards have gone down. That's why there's a cost of living crisis. And over the years, of course, as I mentioned, Europe has had to do the same thing. This is why the West now, you're seeing a cost of living crisis in Australia, in Europe, in the UK, in Canada, in America. You understand? That, in addition to open borders. Those two things are responsible for this cost of living crisis, which has been brewing for a long time, but has accelerated ever since the pandemic. And still, no one talks about that. Have you ever heard anybody talk about that? I wrote about it 20 fucking years ago. I've been talking about it ever since then. Now you know why I was banned. Has anyone ever come out and talked about this? No. This is what's going on. Okay? This is how China grew their economy. Primarily in the early stages. Through the transfer of manufacturing from America. And then later on by Europe. And then they stole intellectual property. Which they're still doing. And then what's happened since about 2010, China has been living off of their massive debt bubble. They had virtually no debt before the financial crisis. Okay? So now, of course, they're getting more and more desperate. Okay? That's where all these rapid improvements in living standards have come from. In Latin America, in Asia, is from U.S. jobs, from European jobs. That's right. Without those jobs, without those corporations relocating to Asia and Latin America, those countries would not have grown anywhere like they have grown. And that's even including, of course, China fudges its economic data. China GDP data is complete fucking bullshit. I already talked about that a few years ago. Complete lies. All that economic growth is a fucking lie. Okay? We're talking about, I don't know how much of it is a lie, but I'd have to believe at least 30%. At least 30% of their growth is a lie. Has been. Okay? And that's even been confirmed by Chinese officials. Not how much, but they've confirmed it even. So think about that. Right? And you hear all this nonsense from scam artists like Ray Dalio wanting to tell you, and this is where Richard Wolff is getting this horseshit from, and people keep repeating it. Oh, the American empire is gone. It's time for a new superpower. China's emerging. China will never be a fucking superpower. Are you fucking kidding me? Folks, I've never been somebody to criticize communism because I didn't really understand it, didn't know much about it, other than, just the typical. But there's people out there that are diehard anti-communist people, right? So it's not as if I have I'm one of these communist bashers. But let me tell you this. I know communism. I've lived in communist countries. I spent time in communist countries. And let me tell you, I understand now when people talk about corruption and communism. It's a completely fucked up system. Completely fucked up. Okay? There's no creativity. There's no innovation. The educational system sucks. There's no accountability. There's no way that they can innovate anything. It's impossible because the system is completely fucked. The control is so stringent. They do not allow the basic necessary components for innovation. They don't allow freedom of speech, freedom of expression. You understand? You don't have that, you don't have creativity. Why do you think the Western world has always dominated the world in the most expressive and creative arts and scientific achievement. Why is that? Because of the value system of the West, dating back to the ancient times of the ancient Greeks. You understand? And that has a play into, of course, also the capitalist system. You know, there's another story to that. Of course, capitalism and democracy, there's a very unique and complex relationship between capitalism and democracy. They are codependent on each other. The problem there, the complexity which I'm not going to talk about today, is there's a crisis. We have a crisis in both. It's a crisis in capitalism and democracy. It's a big problem. But my point, getting back to Richard Wolff, is that he wants to tell you all these bad things about America. And of course, you all know, I know about the bad things in America, but I'm able to put it into context. When you're a shill for China, it's like, wait a second. When China enters the picture, if you're going to criticize America, okay, let's talk about China now. China is completely fucked for many reasons. Okay? China has seen its best times. Write that down. That's a fact. China's best times are behind it. There's no doubt about that. Anybody who says otherwise, well, ask yourself if they have my credibility. Oh, well, here's a billionaire. Who are you? It's the track record, folks. I know what the fuck I'm talking about. I've got the goods. Got it? I don't need the media to tell everybody that I'm great and I'm brilliant and I'm a billionaire. That doesn't mean anything. I've got the fucking goods. I've got the track record. Okay? And I did a 4-hour presentation on the future of China already 3 years ago. So, China's best days are behind it. There's no doubt about it. Okay? No doubt about it. Doesn't mean you can't make money if you want to speculate in the Chinese markets. Okay, fine. Go ahead. Go for it. If you want to do that. You see, the problem is that the jig is up. It's, from the beginning, it's always been kind of horse shit. But as long as it's kind of like cryptocurrency. It's like cryptocurrency. It's like gold. As long as there's enough people that believe that gold has value, and they believe all the nonsense about fiat currency and all these myths, all this horse shit, then gold will have a high price. It's psychology. As long as there's enough people that are brainwashed to believe that cryptocurrencies are great, well, people will keep buying it. Even though cryptocurrencies are completely worthless. Right? The same thing applies to China. As long as there's enough people that look past the fact that, hey, the Chinese companies you can't own. You don't have ownership. There's problems with the Chinese markets, so on and so forth, this and that. As long as everyone doesn't worry about it, the status quo is okay. It's okay, sure, you can make money, invest, okay. But now the hammer has come down. The clothes have come off. You understand? Now it's different. Now, wait a second. And so that's not going to change, at least for a while, at least for several years, if not ever. Can you go back to the delusions that people had before and they were willing to overlook, that you can't buy, you can't own Chinese businesses, right? It's impossible to have a stock market, true ownership, when you're not able to own businesses, true ownership in China, in a communist country. I mean, think about it. Did you ever think about that? How can you have a stock market in a communist country? You all do know what communism means. It means the means of production is owned by the people. The means of production, you understand, all assets, factories, farm equipment, land, You don't own anything. Okay? So how are you going to put a company in the stock market? How can you have a stock market if it's not capitalism? It doesn't make any fucking sense. But, I mean, for all these years, everybody was told everything. Okay, fine. No one knows the deal. Everyone believes it. Okay, make money, fine. But now, it's a different story. You've got in the geopolitical system, people are no longer willing to overlook critical things, right? Because why? Because China is creating problems. China's an aggressor. They're a cheater. So it's game over for China. It's game over, basically. Okay? That's the situation. And anybody who says otherwise is just fucking delusional. It's just common sense. Once again, 15 years ago, 20 years ago, it's a different story. Right? That was when the U.S. was willing to do a lot of things because they thought they could bring China closer to democracy, closer to capitalism, right? They thought they would slowly come along. But they've realized now they were just fooled. You see? I would say the only chance China really has would be a radical shift once they get Xi Jinping out of there. Okay, but I still believe, best of situations, China's best days are behind it. Just like Japan. Japan's best days were behind it by the early 1990s, right? Before they blew up. The bubble. You see? The problem China faces is that when Japan, and of course it was the same situation, or not the same, similar, people were worried Japanese, and during the the 80s they were buying up American assets and all these things were going on. Of course, that was a time when Japan only allowed basically one-way trade. They were flooding our markets with their shit. We couldn't do anything in Japan. Okay? Of course, that was all, that all began, after the Marshall Plan, World War II. We built up Japan. Gave them a lot of, we mentored Japan. We brought them up. By the time Japan peaked out and the Nikkei blew up, I mean, you all know what happened, right? It took, the Nikkei only came back to the highs in the late 80s, I think 89. I think it only happened like 5 years ago, something like that. It took like, 30 years, 25 years. I've had deflation most of the time up until recently, which is not necessarily a bad thing. That's a whole other topic of discussion at some point. I'll talk about deflation. It's not as bad as you're hearing. That's kind of a ruse by these Wall Street guys and these economic guys. They're all related. They want to sell you their system, okay, of inflation, because it really benefits them, you see, and it creates bubbles. When the bubbles blow up, it's the working class, the middle class that bears the brunt of the losses, you see. Deflation actually, if it's not severe, mild deflation actually promotes economic efficiency, you see. It's actually, you could argue it's actually, if it's not too, if it's a mild deflation, it's actually a pretty good system, because you don't have people that are working that shouldn't be working. You see, when you have an inflationary economy, which is normal up to a certain degree, you have people that maybe have jobs that shouldn't be working. Because why? Because those jobs they're fueled by credit. Anyway. So you've got Wolf talking about America, but he never talks about China. He never talks about the problems in China. China right now is in crisis and has been in crisis for 4 years, 5 years. They've been in crisis, okay? And they're able to contain that crisis to a large degree because they have a closed system. I wrote on the comment some video the other day. Their system's closed, and some guy wrote oh, how about their trade? And I'm not like, this is why I don't like I'm not going to talk to you, dude. You want me to educate you, and you don't understand the most basic fucking things. All these idiots, they think these days, oh, wait, you got to explain, you got to prove it. No, I don't. You're so behind the curve, it will take me years to prove to you. What the fuck do you think I'm doing? This is why it's important to understand who you're listening to, folks. Don't expect me to fucking convince you or teach you. That's not my problem. You see what I'm saying? I mean, come on. What the fuck? I don't owe you shit. You can either accept it and go back and learn why on your own, or you don't have to. Remain ignorant. You see? So, China's a closed economy. That's why they're able, it works in their favor. They can contain this crisis because they print their own currency. They control the capital flows. The saying, a lot of these developing countries, basically the saying is this: you can bring the money in, but you can't bring it out. Okay? And that's pretty close to true in a lot of these developing countries. You can bring it in, but you can't bring it out. They make it very difficult to bring the money out. In fact, the MSCI, they create all the benchmarks. MSCI is kind of a scam. This whole benchmarking is kind of a scam, to be honest with you. I've talked about that in the past. It allows these funds to kind of basically scam people. But anyway, I'm not going to get into that. MSCI, when they were in discussions back around 2014, 2015, 2016, big discussions to increase the amount of exposure in the Emerging Markets Fund, EEM, with China to make it in proportion to the size of the Chinese economy, right? Because the percentage of the exposure was much smaller. So they were going to add more Chinese stocks, A shares, so on and so forth. The reason why they hadn't done it all this time was because why? It was because of capital controls. This was the big issue. China, they've been telling China, look, if you want to be in our system, you got to float your currency. China determine the currency exchange. You see? If they don't want to exchange the currency, they don't do it. They have complete control of their economy. The fact that they have all this trade is inconsequential. That matters not at all. That's selling goods. We're talking about capital coming into and leaving the country. Okay, this is why you can't go in and directly buy stocks in the Chinese stock market. They're not going to let you. They only recently, a few years ago, only started this special portal for qualified institutions where they can directly buy the stocks, but there's certain limitations, you see. You can't go in. That's why if you want to buy Chinese shares, well, you can buy the shell company shares, which mean nothing, which you don't own anything, that are listed on the U.S., or you can buy the H-listed shares in Hong Kong, right? But you can't buy the A shares. And the A shares, in terms of Chinese companies, that's the only thing that matters in terms of legality, legal jurisdiction, for the most part. Okay, unless they're based in Hong Kong. But so the reason why you can't buy stocks on the Shenzhen or the Shanghai, right, is because of capital controls. They're not going to let you. They don't want people to come in and, withdraw money from their stock market or short stocks. You see, they want to minimize the external manipulation, which, it's a sound policy. It's good, especially during this day and age when you get all these Wall Street parasites coming in and doing these things like Elliott Management, Paul Singer. I talked about him. This guy, his whole fund strategy is hiring a bunch of attorneys that come in. They wait till the country collapses. They buy the bonds, the sovereign bonds, at pennies on the dollar. Then they get their attorneys, their parasites, and they sue the country and claim that they got to pay or they're going to confiscate assets. That's what Elliott Management does. That's what they did to Argentina. You see? By the way, why isn't the hedge fund guy, Patrick Boyle, talking about these types of things? You know, he's a hedge fund guy. Surely he knows these things. Folks, you understand what I'm talking about now. You can tell when somebody knows what the fuck they're talking about. When somebody is a big swinging dick and somebody is a bullshit artist. You understand? The more you hear me, I think hopefully you're going to understand when somebody knows what the fuck is going on. Somebody that's patched in, somebody that's a top expert. If somebody's not talking about the types of things, just rattling them off like I do and knowing and being accurate about them, then they probably are not an expert. They probably don't. They're probably a bullshit artist, okay? Like Patrick Boyle. Okay? Fucking clown. Who was never a hedge fund manager during the time when he's had a YouTube channel. As I've talked about before, CoffeeZilla, the fucking incompetent grifter, is what he is. He promoted this guy just like he promoted Tom Nash, the fraudster. And Patrick Boyle still calls himself a hedge fund manager. No, Patrick, you're a failed hedge fund manager. You failed. That's why you're on YouTube e-begging, because you're a fucking loser. So, getting back to Richard Wolff. He won't talk about the disaster in China, will he? No. He wants to tell you how America is a disaster.
It's hard to get your head around that. We've had a century of on the way up, which is a lot more fun than on the way down. But it does happen to every empire. We're only the latest. Look at the British, how far they've fallen. We're in that process. So the problem with the trickle down is, yeah, there might be more jobs, but they're going to be created in China. They're going to be created in Brazil. They're going to be created in India.
You hear that? You hear that? So he's saying that America doesn't have a future for jobs. They're all going to be in the developing world. Are you fucking stupid? Hey, Richard, why do you think the jobs were created in those countries? They're created in those countries, number one, because the U.S. companies went over there and created those fucking jobs. You know, like Apple, right? All their jobs in China are in Elon Musk, his factories in China, right? You understand. Once again, folks, you got to have a perspective here. China, even now, I mean, folks, having new buildings made of glass and steel doesn't make you an advanced economy, okay? Doesn't make you an advanced economy. Even before China's glass and steel, you know, bridges and roads to nowhere, buildings for nobody to be made. Even before all that, once again, the Chinese were living in the fucking countryside. Right? They were living in the countryside. The U.S. brought millions of jobs to China. That's why the jobs were created. After that, after China stole the trade secrets, the intellectual property, including the know-how, so on and so forth, to create their companies that pirated goods and that copied manufacturing techniques. That's what they've done. I actually made an audio about 10 years ago where I talked about the end of brands. It's called the end of brands, where this whole outsourcing is for the most part, has eliminated the distinctiveness of brands, depending upon what you're talking about. Because why? Well, because there's so much now that corporate America has had so many goods produced in China for so long that the Chinese have copied the manufacturing know-how, the processes to create their own knockoffs that are legal. The stealing of intellectual property is not legal, but their products are, you know, they're legal knockoffs. And so now, what's the difference, right? But so now even China, they have their own industries that they have basically built, copying off of U.S. and European companies. For what reason? To sell to the West. So in other words, even those jobs now are created based upon the consumption from the West, Western consumers. China is not a consumption economy. China must have consumers to buy their shit. So the best case scenario, what Wolf is talking about, the best case scenario is that the jobs are going to be created in China only if we buy their shit. Okay? Only if we buy their shit. They're dependent on us. Understand that. America has zero dependence for its economy on anybody. They don't need nobody. Okay? That's a fact. Write it down. America's blessed. They've got plenty of oil. They're already the number one oil producer. They can produce a lot more oil. They got plenty of agriculture, right? The technology, innovation, they got it all. It's a matter of if these companies want to produce it in America. And that's what these tariffs are helping to change, because they're leveling the playing field. Okay? So Wolf doesn't want to tell you, he wants to tell you a bunch of nonsense, as if India and China and Brazil have this amazing, innovative infrastructure so that they're creating new products, right? New innovations, and they're building new brands and new No, they're not. They're fucking developing shitholes. You understand what I'm saying, folks? Think about it. This is how stupid this guy is. Right? I mean, right? Who can refute what I'm saying? No fucking body. It's impossible, because what I'm saying is irrefutable. It's factual. It's based on fact. Okay? Why aren't you hearing this? Same reason why I've been banned for 20 years now. They don't want you to get the truth. It's all about twisting your mind, deceiving you, scamming you. That's what the world has come to. That's why you got all the guys who are in the media are a bunch of fucking clowns. You understand? Fact. And I'm just telling you, folks, I'm a spectator here. I've been a spectator now for 20 years. I see all this bullshit. I'm telling you, it's all horse shit. Is there anybody credible that's promoted out there in the media? I can't think of anybody. I mean, on a regular basis, I mean, sure, I'm not saying there's never anything that's credible that comes out of the media. What I'm saying is that the people that they are promoting on a regular basis, I can't think of anybody that's credible and accurate at all. That's the problem. And I'm not just talking about economics. I'm talking about everything. Like I said early on in this stream, you got to understand, it's the big corporations. They're against you. They're there to fuck you. Just like Facebook is there to fuck you. Google is there to... you think they're your fucking friend? The media is the same way. They're not your friend. You don't pay their bill. They got sponsors. The guys that buy the ads. They're paying the bills. And the sponsors want to get their return on investment. You understand? So the media makes sure they do that by misleading you, by fucking you. It's the oldest business model around. The ad-based content model. You got it?
Not created here.
How do you compare this moment of slashing, particularly in the federal government, to, say, the 90s when Bill Clinton did something somewhat similar?
Right.
Is this just a partisan disagreement, or are there substantive differences?
No. Again, and I know this is difficult for people to hear, this is a cut based on desperation. This is an economy that is indeed... We have the greatest level of corporate debt this country has ever seen.
You see, this is how stupid this guy is. Richard Wolff is a complete fucking dunce. Which is why, even though he's, he's of the right group of people, to be promoted to a good university, I don't think they would allow him. He's not going to be teaching at a good university because he's so stupid. They can't, think about it. So his whole argument is that the cuts now, this Doge bullshit, he's saying, we got to do it. We're desperate because we got so much debt. Hey, Richard, you simpleton fucking idiot. It doesn't work that way. The reason why, as I talked about earlier, this whole Doge, it's a Trojan horse. It's a lie. Number one, it's being done so Americans can feel better when Trump comes and says, okay, we cut all this, we saved all this waste, you're not throwing your money away, and now we're going to boost the economy, this is what Trump's going to say, by extending this tax cut to corporations, and we're going to cut taxes for everyone, and of course they're not going to. They're going to give you a little fucking sliver, but the top 1% and 0.1%, they're going to get all the money, okay? And the corporations are going to get all the money. And you're going to feel good because, I mean, they've already planted the seed, right? Talking about how they're going to give everybody $5,000. That's all horseshit. They don't have $5,000 to give everybody, okay? That's nonsense. They're trying to set people up for that, first thing. It's all about rewarding the guys who bought the presidency. The guys who always buy the presidency, folks. Corporate America. You got it? And the rich. That's what we're talking about here. The second point is it's about Elon Musk. Focusing on cutting and getting rid of those agencies that pose a threat to his companies. He doesn't want them to regulate him. He wants to go free reign. And this is part of the problem. This is why America's in deep trouble. So how Richard Wolff doesn't see this, clearly this guy is a low IQ moron. Because it's pretty obvious. I mean, I'm sure some of you listening to this know this, what I'm telling you. Maybe you didn't think about it, but you're like, yeah, I kind of knew this. It's obvious. It's not rocket science. So how come Richard Wolff, the guy who likes to tell you he's an economic professor, doesn't see this? He's an idiot.
Off the chart. The greatest level of personal debt, and we have the greatest level of government debt.
You see?
Our government debt is now trillions of dollars greater than our...
So it's what it's really about. So think about it. If the debt's really that high, and yeah, it's high, no doubt about it. But if it's really the priority, then why is Trump going to extend those tax cuts that are going to cost taxpayers trillions of fucking dollars? Why is he going to do it? Right? Because the reality is that he's not being honest. It's not because he wants to cut the debt. It's to make the Americans, to make them accept the tax cuts once they tell you that they cut all this government waste, so forth, right? That's what's going on. So, getting back to this whole witch hunt that Elon Musk is on against these agencies. You're talking about the CFPB, very important Consumer Finance Protection Bureau. This is the only agency out there that's watching over consumers. You all do remember Wells Fargo? How many times over the past 5, 6, 7 years has Wells Fargo been charged with defrauding customers, creating all those fake accounts, overcharging, overdraft, JP Morgan, right? Credit card companies. You're talking about predatory financial predators, the biggest predators out there targeting consumers. The Consumer Protection Bureau has been the only agency out there that's come out and fought for people and stopped this fraud. We don't have that anymore. Think about that. I've come out on record. I'm not a big fan of them. I came out, when it first was passed, shortly after, and said actually it's not enough. It's a fucking pansy agency. They don't do enough. They do too little. But guess what? It's better than not having it at all. So Elon Musk, they want to cut that out. They want to cut out the FDIC. I mean, these people are fucking psychopaths. Total nutcases. Okay? So what's my point? My point is that America is in deep trouble because why? Because you have now an official takeover, a hijacking of American government, of the American economy by these libertarian nutcases. Libertarian nutcases. Okay? That's what we're talking about here. Let me explain. I'm not going to say all these guys, but I think the majority, or certainly a large percentage of the wealthiest people out there are libertarians. Okay? And if you understand what a libertarian is and how they think, then it makes sense. The libertarian mindset, and I'm not going to get into the history of these guys, but just very briefly, I'm familiar with them because they are the gold pumpers. They are the cryptocurrency scammers. Okay, these are the guys that say the government's bad. They're the extreme right-wing people. They want to tell you the government's bad, right? Get the government out of the way. We have too much government. That sounds good, right? It's a con job line. On the surface, it sounds great. And it makes you sound like a fool if you don't want that, right? How can you reject the idea of cutting the government? Are you a communist? You understand? Kind of like, how they play word games when they want to demonize universal health care. They'll call it socialized medicine. It sounds, it's socialized, right? That's what they call it to make it sound bad. The reality is these libertarians, they don't care about your freedom and liberty. What they tell you, get the government out of the way, give you more freedom, more liberty. What they really care about is getting rid of government protection, protecting consumers, protecting workers, OSHA, Environmental Protection Agency. You understand? They don't want that shit. They want free reign. Make sense? These are the billionaire guys, the guys that run these companies, that own these companies. They don't want to be fined. Elon Musk doesn't want to be fined. He doesn't want to have Tesla report his car crashes for obvious reasons. You understand? This is what the libertarians really want. They create this Trojan horse and get the common man who stands to lose everything if he supports libertarian ideals, right? How can they not support it? They're for freedom and liberty. No, they're not. They're for freedom and liberty for corporations to fuck you. That's the reality. That's the libertarian scam. I exposed that many years ago. Okay? These are the guys who, the typical libertarian is basically like this. They think like, it's my money. Get the government out of the way. I don't want to pay taxes. Screw you. That's the mentality. Right? It's kind of a psychopath. Like, you can't have a strong, healthy society when you have these selfish, greedy, money-worshipping losers. Peter Thiel is a great example. This guy is a sociopathic loser. Like all these guys, they've never done anything, but they're promoted as geniuses, okay? They all start with money. Their parents give them loads of money, and they fail in many things, and they keep chugging along with their parents' money until they get with their little crew, their mafia crew, right, that hands them great deals. That's how they make all their money, okay? And Peter Thiel is a perfect example of a libertarian nutcase and scam artist. Remember, this is the guy who parlayed a few $1,000s of venture investments and put it into a Roth IRA, which was never intended to be used by wealthy people. It was for the purpose of, boosting the retirement income tax-free of, middle-class people. And this guy finds a way around it so he doesn't get taxed. This is what we're talking about. Complete fucking psychopath, sociopath. Okay? He's the epitome. And of course, he's in that circle. He's backed off. He's a silent puppeteer. Elon Musk is a very vocal, a very visual puppeteer, but Peter Thiel is there as well. Many other of these guys. Remember, Trump met with all these billionaires, okay? All these Silicon Valley guys. You saw in his inauguration who's behind Trump. Who's standing behind Trump at his inauguration? The big tech stooges, the big tech fucking criminals. Google, right? Facebook. You understand? All those guys. Bezos, Musk, Zuckerberg, right? You understand? That's what's going on, folks. I mean, look, that's the way it always works. No matter Democrat wins or Republican. It's just that, it plays out differently. Democrats hide it more. Are Democrats more leaning towards reining things in with big corporations? I think a little bit. I think, Biden was going after Amazon, going after Google, going after Meta, right? And now it's kind of, you see how the Federal Trade Commission just a few days ago announced they're going to halt their case on Amazon. They don't have the staff. Now they recently said they're going to go forward. They've got the staff. This is what we're talking about, folks. It's all about, this is why I say America's in deep trouble. It's in deep fucking trouble. Remember, I'm coming to you as a nonpartisan American. I don't fucking vote. They're all crooks. I don't care. It's not as if I'm I don't like Trump because I'm a Biden or Harris supporter. That's not true. America, I've not ever seen America in deeper trouble than today with Trump. And I guess the only other time, maybe, I saw this, but it was not on an economic issue, as a social issue, was Bill Clinton. That was also a turning point socially. And this is he spawned all this bullshit. You know, his period, the Bill Clinton era, was the period that really spawned all this, anti-white sentiment, and really this kind of DEI. This stuff kind of began with Clinton, the Clinton years, really. Economically, with Trump, this is a disaster. And so what you're going to see is a bigger problem with wealth and income disparity in America. There's no doubt about it. It's a big, big problem. Okay? Now, the only caveat is, and I don't believe this is the case, I don't believe Trump truly wants to bring, I don't believe he wants the tariffs to truly bring the jobs back. I think it's all bullshit. Okay? I think it's bullshit. But clearly that's what America needs. There's no doubt about it. I wrote about it once again, 20 years ago. In fact, I'm going to go ahead and close. I'm going to close with, this is my my original channel here. And I showed little excerpts. We're actually warned about this collapse. I don't really discuss too much because when you do a forecast, you don't want to discuss too much because oftentimes forecasts they last over a long period. You don't want to disclose anything. But anyway, go ahead and see here. Go ahead and take a look. As a reminder of my financial crisis track record here and what I wrote about 20 years ago, which was banned. It was all banned. Why? And I've still banned. Think about that, folks. How am I being banned? There's a problem when you don't have people with a lot of exposure asking me to come on their show. Think about that. That's what you have, though. Because, folks, everybody's fooled. They don't know about me. They think that they're getting good insight, and they're not. They're getting a bunch of fucking idiots and scammers. This is why the country's in deep trouble. And this is why people don't see what's going on with Trump. They don't see what's going on. They didn't see what was going on with Biden. They're not going to ever see. They're only going to think in one-dimensional terms. They're going to think about DEI and open borders. They're not going to see things for what they really are, folks. That's the reality. Yeah, you can go ahead and read this for yourself. You can take a look at it right there. Okay? 20 years ago, I wrote about this and much, 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 much more. I should be fucking celebrated. I'm an American fucking hero. Yet, no, I'm a bad guy. I'm a nobody. You understand? And the American people are the ones that suffer because of this. You guys are the ones that are suffering, that are feeling the consequences because I was banned. That's the reality. I don't know if you all understand that. You probably don't understand that. You don't understand why. Probably. But I think you should. It should be pretty obvious.